It's time to rock. It's the Sunday show. It's the British Electric Blues show on. It's the 5150 show. And we're here to celebrate a great record. But more importantly, we're here to celebrate someone's birthday. The Rock Professor, if you guys weren't aware of it, celebrated a milestone.
another turn around the sun. Yes.
another sprint around the block, Brad.
Yeah.
That's it.
While we're talking about the Rock Professor,
I thought you were going to sing to me. You've got to sing the Beatles to me.
No, I've got something better than that. I've noticed other channels doing clickbait, on their channels. So, our channel can join that party and do clickbait too. So here's our clickbait, Brad, for the show.
Yeah.
Dear me.
That's a man.
Oh dear. Look, when I had dark hair, what's happened? Fortunately, the eyebrows are still the same.
That's our clickbait. Look. Let's isolate. There he is there.
Clickbait. There we go.
That's the click. Or this one here.
Or not.
Which one?
Oh dear, oh dear.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday, mate.
Thank you very much. That's very kind. I can say 1 year and see 363 days until I can stop working.
Well, that's always a goal, isn't it? But as far as this channel's concerned, you'll still be working anyway.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I get that. Yes.
It's tough, mate. It's tough.
Yeah. Brad knows the score there. So
I tried to leave once or twice, and I got the heavy.
It's not happening.
COVID and a stroke couldn't keep him away.
No. They weren't good enough excuses, Simon. The heavy still
No, absolutely not. Yes, yeah. Just because you're dead doesn't mean you shouldn't turn up. We'll seance you in from beyond the grave.
Andrew, I've had a little stroke. So see
Lucky
you Sunday.
You. Yes.
Andrew.
Thank you very much.
I got COVID. Oh, see you Wednesday.
Pretty much like that, folks. If you don't believe me, I'll show you. I'm happy to share the screen saves. The text messages. So.
Yeah. Never mind that. It's only a scratch.
It's only a scratch. Get on with it, would you?
It's only a scratch. It's only a bit of bark. It's only a bit of wood. How many times did we fall off push bikes and skateboards over the years? Hey,
yes.
You just, stub your toes, stub your fingers, and how many times have you pushed people off jungle gyms, Simon, and off and out of trees over the years?
Cliffs. When you're a kid, you don't have jungle gyms and stuff. Not in the 60s. You had to just push them off real cliffs.
Oh, okay. I suppose we have to talk about this thing too. I suppose the fact that the Rock Professors turned 39 on
again. Do you want me to say what I got? I got some things for my birthday that might be of interest.
I'm glad you got something, because Brad and I ain't going to give you anything.
No. Yeah, this is what I'm not getting from the massive 4,000 subscribers that we've got. There it is. This is YouTube dollars. No, it isn't.
No.
Yeah, I got I got $1 or two. I also got some money for my mum, so I am going on a That Pedal Day show day, one of their event days.
Nice.
Wow. Will you be able to go on assignment for the channel while you're there?
Well, I don't see why not. Is it some sort of channel assignment? I could. Yes, I'm gonna go and wear my British Electric Blues T-shirt, flying in the face of fashion.
If you can get some footage, or even maybe just go live from the event for a couple of minutes, or how long it may take, I'm sure Brad and I would be, and everyone in the chat would be keen to see what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yes.
Speaking about pedals, have you guys seen the pedal documentary? I was just doing a bit of searching on Apple TV, and there's a pedal documentary that came out about towards the end of last year. Have you guys seen it at all?
No.
No, I haven't.
I'll have to check it out.
I'm making a note of it. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And
while we're talking about this
Analog
album,
Kids.
yeah, I'll do some research and throw it up there, because I thought, jeepers, that might be something that we might need to watch and come back and do a show on. And if that's going to work in well with the Rock Professor Brad going on assignment,
yeah,
there we are. Yeah, we could do that. That'd be cool.
100%.
Yeah.
No, I like all those geeky shows. They're good.
Well, anything to do with guitars and music, that's really good. We love it, don't we? That's what we do here on this channel. We give each other a bit of grief.
Yeah. Not much grief. I'm going on March the 31st next year, so we've got plenty of time to plan it up. But I thought I'd go on it for a day, have a day with I've met Dan once already on the Guitar Breaks thing. He came with to see Josh Smith and stuff. So I've met him once briefly. So, but I thought that'd be fun. Only 6 people, so it's a small, intimate, and we get to go on lots of cool amps and guitars and pedals and stuff, which will be exciting.
Fantastic. We look forward to that. Brad, look, I've got to say this to you guys too, before the Rock Professor does a bit of a shout out, but again, I've got to thank my co-hosts for everything that they've provided to the channel, because clearly people think that what we do here as a collective, as a collaboration, is interesting. We get the viewers and we get the subscribers, don't we, guys? So, always humbled by that, Brad and Simon, and obviously people in the chat who've been helping us. Again, everyone take a bow. Thank you for making our time here on this part of the YouTube universe enjoyable.
Oh, look, I have to say I'm honoured to be part of it, Andrew, and 4K's. Congratulations, Andrew, on and Simon on an amazing commitment. 4K, it just seems like not long ago we're only up to about 1,000. We were pushing for 1,000, and all of a sudden we're at 1,000. It's humbling. It's amazing, and well done, guys. You've really, because you guys have been sailing this boat a lot longer than I've been on it. I'm still the new guy, So.
Yeah, you're the Ronnie Wood of the British Electric Blues Show.
still the Ronnie Wood, yeah. So
absolutely.
But no, I'm really humbled by it. It's fantastic.
Well, we have a blast, don't we, Simon? And that's what it's about, One thing that's reflected back in my experience over the last couple of weeks is that if you're not doing this and enjoying it and having fun, and if you're not getting that selfish thing for yourself, there's no point in doing it, I don't think. Brad, look, you've said it many times. We look back on some of these videos and some of the comments that we make again, and you think, wow, I didn't know that. So, I'm a little bit, chomping at the bit for this show, because I know that Brad is our resident Hendrix expert. So, So the Rock Professor is closely on his heels there, on his heels. But I'm sure he'll agree that Brad is our resident Hendrix expert. And yeah.
You bow low in the presence of.
Guys, I don't think anyone can be a Hendrix expert, to be honest with you, because there's just so much depth in that small body of. Well, it's a large body of work he's got for a 3 or 4 year career, but there's so much history there. There's so much, and even just preparing for today's episode, I had to colour a hell of a lot just to make it have a bit of a flow, because I could have gone on and done an hour introduction.
An hour.
But I'm sure Simon and yourself, Andrew, are both just as equally expertish on Hendrix, guys. You've been listening to Hendrix longer than me, so that counts for something.
Yeah. Well, look. At the end of the day, it's a collaboration, isn't it? And we've got cool cats in the chat that have really, really hot opinions about a lot of the albums. We've got John said, actually, Rock Professor, jump in there and say hi to everybody, because there's no point me pointing their names out until you've said hi. Can you do that, Rock Professor?
Yeah, I can, absolutely. Be great. So, good morning, Keith Campbell, Tim Thomas. Got Ellen Toll, still in disguise. Ellen, I see. That's Gret Zeppelin. So we've got John ZD351. Fantastic. We have Teresa, of course. Teresa. Good morning, Teresa, from sunny Brazil. Well, I hope it's sunny. Robert Ranford and Jason Tong. Good morning, Jason. That's quite a new name to me. I've got such a short memory. Drops Family Gardens. Sleep well, Drops. Thanks for dropping by. I think that's I think we're okay. That's everybody, I think, hopefully. And thanks for all your birthday messages as well, everyone. And on the Facebook thing as well. Lovely picture posted by my daughter of her being very young and me being a lot younger.
So this is our eye candy. This is our clickbait. That's the one that the Rock Professor is referring to. If you guys are new to the chat,
look at that.
That's our clickbait, Brad.
You're referring to clickbait, Andrew. Then at least we have clickbait on the show. It's not just a picture of someone else.
That's you.
Guys, I've got to do one special shout out to Teresa because of her pushing our channel in Portuguese with her Brazilian contacts. We've picked up a lot of subscribers from Brazil, and I mean a lot. So, thank you, Teresa, for doing that for our channel. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. Morning, Holly Lewis. Hope you're good, Holly. Going through the wars recently, but
oh my Lord,
seemingly coming out the other side, which is great. Got a car back, got a hand appointment sorted. I hope it's going all right, Holly.
Well, while we're on the topic of birthdays, before I forget,
yes,
happy birthday, Ringo from the Beatles. Happy birthday! He had a birthday this week, and sadly, it was the anniversary of Jim Morrison's passing this week as well. So we're massive Doors fans here. So that's a very sad loss to the world. Poetic genius, as is Jimi Hendrix, which we'll allude to when we get to this. His poetic genius, really. They were both quite amazing and unique in their own right. But peace and love, Ringo. Happy birthday. When you're watching this, send us a message because we haven't heard from you for a while.
No, we'd love to do a show with you. Come on.
Yeah. Come on.
Come on. Yeah.
We might fit him in, Rock Professor? We might bump a show for him.
Well, we could probably fit him in. Look at the packed social diary. Depending on where he's based, of course, it's very difficult. But we should say,
we could certainly get help from our friends, Ringo.
Get in. Dudum.
Sorry, guys.
Very good. Very good. Very good. And we should say hello to Warren, who's out there somewhere. Warren, we hope you're all right, mate. We've not heard from you, and we are concerned, but we hope you're okay and things are going well. Let us know, man.
Good point.
Let
and
us
if you
know.
guys are watching also on a replay, please subscribe to our channel, share our channel with your friends. You know, we're grateful to have 4,000 subscribers. You know, but we still have a lot to say. We've got a lot that we want to do here on the channel. And go to our community page too, please, guys, and also to our channels page. Our channel's about sharing people. So our channels page, Brad, is with our friends, everybody that's associated with us, that's had some kind of connection. Go there and subscribe to all those pages or channels if you have it. And again, Rock Professor, if they want to be on there, flick the Rock Professor a message.
Be on there.
And we'll get you on there. There's no fee to get on there. It's free. You don't even need to be a channel sponsor to get on there.
No.
Well, you know, if you want to send money, that's a no, big silly. No, absolutely not. It's none of that. It's if you want to be on our community page, you can be on our community page. Please just ask. That'd be cool. Yeah, absolutely.
100%. So everyone's welcome. You don't have to be a channel member, as Andrew said. 100%. So guys, Access Boulders Love. This was an album that in our green room discussion last week that Simon was holding back on, and I conveniently stole it from me because I had to express how much or how important this album was, or still is.
We saw it. We saw what Brad did, and we can't tell you what Brad did, but we saw it.
It involved elbows. Bad language.
Look, just quietly, I chucked a little hissy fit, guys, so I had to steal it from the Rock Professor. But I will give you this. That was a great choice, and I'm glad we're doing this record because it's a very important record as well. So when you guys are ready, maybe we can dive into it. Have we got anything else we want to discuss before we dive into it? Any other topics we want to bring up or discuss? Or
I don't think so.
No, I just want to say. I just want to say how this could be a bit of clickbait too. There, that's looking pretty good.
Yeah,
clickbait going on there.
That's more like it. With his
bit of colour in those cheeks.
With his fiendish V for Vendetta moustache and goatee going on.
No, not at the moment, mate. Not feeling clickbait material at the moment, mate. Don't worry about that.
But as Brad said, at least our clickbait people are on the channel.
Yeah, I'm not saying another word about that. That slipped out.
Okay.
Oh God, I've lost my train of thought, guys. But
sorry, man, I interrupted you. You were getting ready. I
was trying to segue, you know, and you guys have just taken off the rails again.
Yeah, it's the boss.
The boss
disruptive. Clearly had too many Red Bulls.
Too many Red Bulls. Yeah, well, just talking about Red Bulls, I had a few red wines yesterday, first couple of drinks, and probably last for a little while. Obviously, I don't really drink, so it was nice to have a couple of drops of red, put it that way.
Good on you. And they were great photos. Go and have a look at Brad's Instagram, and you'll see a smiling boy there. And he's got lots of reasons to be smiling, trust me.
Reasons to be cheerful. 1, 2, 3.
No, she's a good woman. My girl, she's a good woman. But we had a great day, and I was discussing this album with her, and thankfully she's interested in music because she'd probably be bored shitless.
I was gonna say, you are smooth. I'm discussing Axis Boulder's love with her. Yes.
Look! It goes without saying, you know, Brad, woman, music.
Listen, yeah. Unfortunately for my girl Jackie, she's got no choice but to love music, and thankfully she does anyway. So there you go. Yeah. So we were watching a couple of things on YouTube last night, and there's one really good clip that I'm going to get Andrew to share later on in the description about Eddie Kramer discussing the song Axis Boulder's Love and how they discovered the phasing, and they played the last section of the song, and when they showed Jimmy the phasing that they did, he nearly fell on the floor with excitement because it was what he was hearing in his head. And just goes to show guys like Eddie Kramer, you know, we talk about the brilliance of Jimi Hendrix and whatnot, but he had a great team, and Eddie Kramer worked really well with Jimmy, and you know what Jimmy was trying to portray, what he was hearing in his head. I think Eddie made it happen, if that makes sense, in a stereo mix. What Hendrix was trying to achieve, I think Eddie Kramer did that. So well done, Eddie Kramer. And yeah, if you've ever got a spare time and you want to come on the show, do it by all means. So yeah, but we'll definitely share. It only goes for about 4 or 5 minutes, but it's brilliant to watch. But are you guys right? Andrew's timed himself out, so you guys right if we we'll dive straight in. What do you think?
Yeah, bro, I'm into it.
Yeah, cool.
So, like mentioning Eddie Kramer, so Axis Boulder's Love is the album we're doing today, guys. Jimi Hendrix and the Jimi Hendrix Experience. The album is produced by Chaz Chandler with Eddie Kramer as the main engineer. And forgive me if I pronounce this incorrectly, George Katans as the second engineer. So that's how I pronounce that. Literally only 7 months after the release of the group's highly successful debut album, Are You Experienced, was released, the group's second studio album, Axis Boulder's Love, dropped. It dropped on Track Records in the United Kingdom on December the 1st, 1967. Reprise Records in the US delayed the release until the following month. The album reached top 10 in the album charts in both countries. The album itself blends a number of musical stylings and heavily influenced by what other bands were doing at the time, notably the Beatles' Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, which had only been released a few months earlier. But the biggest and most obvious change from the band's first album to me, and probably to you guys as well, is the growth as Hendrix as a songwriter. Yep. He evolved so quickly, and this is what it just goes to show. You give a creative genius a little bit of run to do what they want to do, and they just explode with ideas, and they become brilliant and genius-like within a short period of time, which is what happened with Hendrix, in my opinion. So basically, literally less than a month of the release of Are You Experienced, their first album, the band continued their schedule of recording sessions and returned to Olympic Studios. Now, they would take a month off here and there to go play gigs through Europe. Then they would return to Olympic Studios to continue work on the new recording. Notably, on June 18, the band made its debut in the US with the famous Monterey Pop Festival, followed by a series of 5 concerts at Fillmore. While they're in California, Chaz Chandler booked their manager, booked session time for them on June 28, 29, and 30 at Houston Studios in LA, which the studio sessions ended up being abandoned because they weren't up to par with the quality of the Olympic Studios recordings. They were quite shocked to think that it was nothing more than a rehearsal studio to them. More studio time was booked at Mayfair Studios a week after the performances in LA and New York. Axis Boulder's Love's scheduled release date was almost delayed. This is an interesting story. Hendrix lost the master tape to the first side of the LP. He left it in the backseat of a London taxi. With the deadline looming, with Chandler, with the pressure he had, all the deadlines and everything that they had to adhere to, Hendrix, Chas Chandler, and Eddie Kramer went in and remixed most of side one in a single overnight session, which would have been an epic session to do that. But they obviously wanted to do that to try and get back on schedule, and they couldn't match the quality of the last song on the side A, which was If 6 Was 9. Now, bassist Noel Redding had a tape recording of that mix, which they had to be smoothed out with an iron, as it apparently got wrinkled. So you can imagine, how, we're talking 1967, and the technology is pretty poor compared to what we've got today. So Hendrix did voice his disappointment at having it remixed in such a short time. He felt that it could have been better if they'd given him more time to mix it. Eddie Kramer had to be patient with Hendrix during the recording session, and became a very patient man with Hendrix for the amount of retakes of the songs that Hendrix wanted to do. And a lot of the sessions like for Axis Boulder's Love have surfaced over the years through the Hendrix family, and you can hear like the take before the main take that we know every day and listen to every day. And it's just amazing to hear how close they are, but there's still subtle differences with every take. So you can imagine Hendrix was a perfectionist. So that actually exhausted Chas Chandler, their manager, the group's manager and producer. He said the guitarist of perfectionism was exhausting him. He really had no time for that, because he came from his background being in the Animals. Was he get in 1 or 2 takes or 3 takes of a song and pick the best one? But Hendrix at this stage was getting up to takes of 27, 28, 29 and 30 songs. That doesn't mean they went through the whole song either. They might have got halfway through and he'd stop because he wanted to perfect it. Yeah. On top of that, Noel Redding, the band's bass player, had become extremely frustrated at Hendrix's repeated demands to do the retakes, which led to a well-known resentment towards Hendrix for his explicit instructions on regarding what he had to play in the studio. And I don't want to go into too much about that. That's pretty common knowledge if you're a fan of Hendrix. And there was also more tension looming because Hendrix and Mitch Mitchell had become, they were being a little bit outspoken on their opinions regarding the choices that have been left up to Chas Chandler during the recording sessions of Are You Experienced, the previous record. So that was obviously probably getting on Chas Chandler's nerves as well. Mitchell commented, this is a quote from Mitch Mitchell, the drummer, "Axis was the first time it became apparent that Jimmy was pretty good working behind the mixing board as well as playing guitar. He had some positive ideas and he wanted things recorded. He had some positive ideas of how he wanted things recorded. Sorry, guys. It could have been the start of potential conflict between him and Chas Chandler in the studio." So Hendrix's newer compositions drew heavily on his roots in rhythm and blues bands, as well as some real soulful, delicate playing, which are influenced by the Isley Brothers and especially Curtis Mayfield, who he toured with, and saw Curtis Mayfield as being one of an exceptional guitarist. So he drew a lot of inspiration from him, and we hear that on songs like Little Wing, Axis Boulder's Love. In fact, the majority of these songs. Axis focused more on Hendrix's gift as a songwriter than Are You Experienced. The album was quite successful and was certified platinum in the US and silver in the UK. I did have some information on the album cover, but I think we might leave that until you show the pictures, Andrew, so we can just a little bit more sense, I think.
Yeah. Because it's an awesome album cover and it needs some discussion. Absolutely. Thank you, bro. Yep.
That's my opening to this without going to way in depth on track and this and that, which I thought would say for the the track rankings anyway. And if you guys got anything you want to add to that.
I just thought it'd be useful, as I do occasionally, is just to kind of just do a bit of background, Brad. Like just as you've mentioned, Sergeant Pepper's released the same year. We also have the Small Faces, Ichiku Park. We have this is quite amazing. It's actually Big Brother and the Holding Company, The Doors and Strange Days, Jefferson Aeroplane, Surrealist Pillow, and After Bathing at Baxter's. A lot of bands releasing 2 albums in a year back then.
Wow.
Moby Grape, Traffic, Mr. Fantasy, Pink Floyd, Piper at the Gates of Dawn, Love Forever Changes, Cream, Disraeli Gears, The Byrds, Younger Than Yesterday, The Velvet Underground and Nico, and clearly Jimi Hendrix with Are You Experienced as well. That's what's going on in 1967, the Summer of Love in that thing. And just to get a perspective, Elvis Presley turns 32.
Oh,
amazing!
So before we get into the tracks, guys, can we just share our first experiences of how we came across this album? So, for myself, like a lot of the albums that we've discussed, I was brushed upon it when I was about 15 or 16, again, by good friends who were lucky enough to have older brothers and sisters to school them. And, Brad, when you were sitting and watch Almost Famous, and at the start there where the sister's getting ready to go away and she gives her record collection to the young guy and says, go and listen to these albums. That's almost like a true experience for a lot of us, isn't it? We get this this talismanic kind of power passed on to us through someone that's close to us, and I felt like that when I got this album. When I first heard this album, especially the first song, and we'll talk about that clearly, I thought, what the heck what's going on here? And the album cover that Brad has mentioned, just sitting there being and freaking out. It just blew me away. Brad and Simon still does right through, and just hearing that guitar, that power. I didn't know anything about songwriting back then. It was about the power behind this album. So it's always been one of those key albums for me. What about you, Brad and Simon? Brad, when was the first time you discovered this album?
Well, I was into Jimi Hendrix because of Live at Monterey, and then obviously from there I got like a greatest hits of Jimi Hendrix. I think it was called Cornerstone or something. I can't remember the exact name of the album, but it had pretty much all his bigger hits on it, all the way through to Freedom and Dolly Dagger, and then it had on the last track was a couple of live songs as well. But it was a CD anyway, and I was just in love with that song Drifting that he did on his last, was meant to be for his last record. And so everyone was like, oh man, if you love Hendrix, you've got to get Are You Experienced? So I went and bought Are You Experienced, Axis Boulder's Love, and Electric Ladyland. I bought those 3 records at the same time. And I put on them in order. I put Are You Experienced on, and obviously I was like experienced from that. I was like, this is like game changing for me. Yeah. And then Axis Boulder's Love came on, and I was taken back yet again. And obviously with Electric Ladyland, same thing for the same reason, but it being more progressive and whatnot. But this record out of the 3 has always been probably my favorite Hendrix record. So I love the songs on this record. I love the guitar tones. I love so much about this record, but even more so lyrically, there's just some beautiful lyrics on here. And that's why I would say it was a poetic genius, as well as being, so many people go on about Hendrix, the guitar player, but Hendrix was more than a guitar player. He was an all-round musician. He was a producer. He was only just becoming this amazing I don't want to waffle on, but he was like sent from another planet. And I do believe, like when we get to the track rankings, the first track, and his fascination with UFOs and references and whatnot. Maybe there's some hidden truth there, and that my thought pattern that Hendrix was an alien and he would come from somewhere else to teach us all something and show us what can be done. And then he was taken away from us too early. But my first time I heard this record, to answer your question correctly, Andrew, was when I bought those records and I put them on and listening to them with my headphones the first time, and man, it's an experience listening to this stuff in headphones. It's very trippy, very psychedelic, pushing the bounds of reality with stereo mixing, just brilliance. And for 1967, we're talking about Hendrix was very influenced by the artists like all the ones you mentioned there, without a doubt, Rock Professor. But the main one at this time was the themed albums like Sgt. Pepper's, and that's I think in this sense of a way he made a bit of a theme record here. It was his little way to do that. And then obviously his next record, Electric Ladyland, same thing. So it was, wasn't trying to be like the Beatles, but he wanted to do like a theme, and I think that was encapsulated on this record amazingly. But every time when we go through the track rankings, every time I listen to these songs, I get pumped still. So, but that first time I heard them, I think I had constant chicken skin because it's like it was everything that encapsulated everything about music that I love. Rock Professor.
Yeah, I mean, tracks from this album. I can remember seeing Jimi Hendrix doing Purple Haze on Top of the Pops in 1967. So some of these other tracks have been around since then. I mean, clearly I didn't buy the records, not in 1967, but later on in the 70s, I got this one, I got the first one, and I got Electric Ladyland as well, with the naughty cover.
Yep.
And so this album and these songs have been around me since then. Really, not quite when it came in, but always loved it as a record, which is why I sort of had it in my mind that we would do it last week. But when Brad was struggling, I said, "I know I've got the album for you, young man. I know what we're gonna do," which is cool. So yeah, I mean, it's just been around. It's been a great record for lots and lots of years.
Yeah. Very, 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 very good record. And if anyone hasn't done their homework, naughty, you're gonna have to go listen to this after we do this track ranking. This to me is a very important album in rock history. So, you guys are ready to go through the tracks?
Yep,
we're ready. Yes, indeed.
All right. Well, obviously, Axis Boulder's Love, the album, starts with a track called EXP. I'm going to say this is hard to rate this song. An introduction to the album. This piece reflected his growth, obviously, his growing interest in science fiction and outer space. It sounds like Mitch Mitchell pretending to be an interviewer, and obviously Jimi Hendrix is portraying the character Paul Caruso. And there's a UFO reference in there, incorporates harmonics, feedback from his Strat. You can hear the fuzz pedal just buzzing away. It's buzzing his head off. There's some experimental stereo panning effects of Hendrix's guitar moving through like a stereo image, which is meant to encapsulate like revolving around the listener. I think it's meant to try and capture what a UFO was meant to sound like going round and round past you. I think of this piece as not much of a song, but an introductory piece. I always saw this as some kind of response to theme-based albums coming out around the same time. Very much not that Sgt. Pepper had this sort of thing at the start, but that was Jimmy's response was, well, I can do a theme-based too, and mine's, UFOs in outer space, and whether that's capsulated in throughout the whole album or not. But that's just my take on it. So I don't really want to rank that. If that's okay, guys, I didn't really want to give it a ranking. I used to skip it. I'll be honest with you. Like when I first put the record on, I was like, "What the hell is this?" And I'd skip it. But I'm a record guy now. I'm a song guy. I just put it on and let it go from start to finish. But I mean, if I had to give it a ranking, I'd probably give it a 6 or a 7 out of 10. This song, so 6.5.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think that it's me next. Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think it's quite of its time, isn't it? It's in some ways, but in terms of its subject matter, in terms of the way they approach it, not, I think that it's it's a quite psychedelic, and it's and that's clearly the psychedelic era, and with the speeding up tapes, and the feedback guitar panning and all of that stuff is, oh look, I've got a new thing, let's do something, and we've had a few of those tracks on here, haven't we, in the past, the kind of talking things and stuff, and like Cream, didn't it? Was it Cream did a fairly weird sort of track where they kind of and I think it's the period of experimentation, period of expanding your mind in as many different ways as possible. And this is a product of that. I gave it a 6 out of 10 too, Brad. So I'm right with you on that. As a, I wouldn't skip it. It's only, it's less than 2 minutes long. It's a, it's a cool piece of, I think, period piece is what I would call it. And it introduces you to the album, and I think it's what it is and what it's likely to be. So I think it's fine. But as a song, it's kind of a 6 out of 10 thing. It's a bit of a comedy thing. But Andrew,
like I said, guys, it freaked me out when I first heard it. There's just a couple of things I think over time that I've picked up on. So it's clearly a result of the English sense of humour that Jimmy was exposed to when he was in London. Clearly from my opinion anyway, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. And I think it's great that he put that on there because, you can get too intense, I think, when you're traveling this musical path, guys. And a lot of biographies have sort of expressed that with Jimmy. So maybe it was just his little way of saying, this is just this, let's lighten it up, But boy, it's a sonic assault, isn't it? It just, especially when you listen to it on your headphones, and it's like, wow. But look, I'm going to give it a 6.5 out of 10 too. I agree with what the Rock Professor said. It's definitely, if there's one thing on this album that is 1967, it's this, and that's not bad. That's not bad. It's not bad. It's fantastic. But Rock Professor, I'll never skip it. Brad, I'll never skip it.
I would never skip it now, Andrew. In my younger days, when I first started listening to this record, it was always like, "What the hell did they put this for?"
Yeah.
But
I probably did too, bro. I probably, in fact, yeah.
Well, it's a case of let's get to the songs, isn't it? Kind of thing. Yeah, let's get into the songs, kind of thing. But I never skipped it. It is interesting, isn't it? Like you're talking about that, Andrew, listening on your headphones. I had the best experience listening to it on my stereo. Actually, my stereo is amazing. Better than I would say. And I haven't quite worked this out. I need to go away and think about it. But better for me than headphones. Interestingly, there were things that I sort of missed on headphones that I got much more clearly listened to it on my stereo. Proper, sitting there and having it pointing at you. Yeah, stereo is amazing. Get on your record player. Woo!
But I mean, look, it's important to acknowledge that it is not meant to be recognized as a song on the album, guys. Like there's a few people in there saying they'd skip it, afraid, and things like that. But I think it's important, like we've just highlighted, that it is part of that time frame, 1967, and it was like an introduction to the album as such. But once we move on from there, it's less than 2 minutes. It goes for 1.5 minutes. As Andrew said, it's a bit of English humor, and then they go into Up From the Skies, which, yeah, for me, this is a wonderful little song. You know, just segues really well from that first little introduction. I love the way it segues into it and starts off. It's a great little jazz feel, you know, from Mitch Mitchell there on the drums. There's some really colourful wah guitar work here, wah pedal from Hendrix, and some really sassy vocals from Jimmy as well. You know, I know Hendrix was always very uncomfortable about his own voice, but you know, the more I listen to these records and the more in depth I get with the songs, I really couldn't imagine him singing them any other way than how he's done it. It's just perfect. You know, nice little key change in the song. The melody is great. And interesting stereo panning in this song as well, with the vocals on one side. No, they were really trying in this period to experiment and you know, as Jimi Hendrix would say, "Are you experienced?" He was trying to make everyone experienced by his songs. So
very good.
This was very good, and you know, I love the Hendrix lead lines on the wah pedal stuff all through it. As the song progresses, there's a lot more little lead guitar licks. There's some great guitar tracking on this. It's very subtle, very, very delicate, very nice. 2:26 minutes into the fade out is the fantastic part of the song for me. I just wish it didn't fade out so early. A song that's lyrically based around the perspective of an alien that's curious about life on Earth. So it segues from that first little experience bit where we're hearing a freaked out UFO or something, being Jimi Hendrix's guitar going, like, and you're thinking it's going around your head. And then it must have landed, and that's how I see it. And there's an alien wanting to know about life on Earth. So I gave it an 8 out of 10. It's never as good for me. Rock Professor.
Yep. No, I agree. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's the one thing I say about this is that as I listen to it on my stereo, and I think it's, you know, best was I suppose it's fitting how kind of light and airy it is. You know, it's kind of not, there's not millions of things going on all of the time. Each bit has its, you know, has its space and its place in the mix. And I thought it was quite a joy actually to have a record where there wasn't like, you know, it wasn't like really dense sound. I've overdone the guitars 400 times and, you know, and got triple volume. Actually, it was, I thought, listen to that. It's just, you know, it just kind of expands out, and you just get this feeling of kind of space and of kind of an airiness and a lightness that I think is, you know, sort of different from Are You Experienced, you know, which is kind of heavier and sort of much more driven, whereas this has, you know, a lot of clean guitar sounds, a lot of, you know, as you say, kind of the wah-wah things. I thought it was something of a joy, to be honest, as you know, so much of, you know, I don't know about you, but I drive around in the car and my teenage kids get on the orgs lead and, you know, whacking this, you know, making my brain shake. But one of the things that I find about modern music is how dense it is and how kind of, you know, it's like, yeah, it's fine, but it wears me out after a while. Whereas this was just like, you know, it's like a butterfly opening. It's beautiful. It's like fantastic, you know. And I love that kind of just. I think all the way through this, that relaxed kind of groovy singing. You know, he's not. There's a few tracks where he pushes, but quite a lot of it is kind of pretty kind of relaxed, isn't it? And doing that kind of spoken word stuff as well. You know, not afraid to do the spoken word thing. I think at one point there are two voices, aren't there? There's just sort of two voices that sing, you know, things, which is really cool. You know, it's kind of subtle. It's not really in your face. I'm now going to do, you know, boom thing. It's just like I'm going to do these little things that all fit together in this beautiful kind of beautiful way, very melodic. You know, with those different things to keep you interested all the way through. And you know, I'm all for you know, something that you know, that leaves you wanting more. 255 and leaves you wanting more is yes, that's right. Is you know, it's pretty cool in my books. Pretty cool. I give 8.5 out of 10. Never a skip. lovely opening to the album. Yeah, lovely relaxed opening to the album. Andrew.
Yeah, I'm glad that the rock professor didn't read my notes. He started to, so but he didn't conclude. So I'll finish the conclusion. What I worked out, guys, on listening to this song after picking up everything that we talk about over the couple of years that we've been doing this, listening to it with that scrutinizing mind that you have sometimes, and you want to put that beast aside and just sometimes just listen to it because you want to, but you can't help it because you got to go back and you're looking for something that's hidden that you haven't heard. And for me, Simon, I'm glad that you mentioned that clean tone, well, that cleanish sound as opposed to his previous album. I picked that up too, but only because Jimi Hendrix was going down that jazz kind of thing, and clearly it's evident, Brad, on this song, playing that that kind of jazz cat guy, and getting into character, and I love that. Guys, I'm giving this a 9 out of 10 only because of that. Only because Jimmy could have wanted to, he was a little bit restrained, I think, Brad, in this song. But I get he was trying to bust out. I love it. 9 out of 10.
Yeah, beautiful. I mean, I love how you described that, both of you guys. And the wonderful thing about Jimi Hendrix is the way he sings that is like he's just talking like he would be, because you can tell when he talk between songs at gigs, like at Monterey, it's like, yeah, it's really groovy, it's really out of sight, man. Even rain or but so he would talk like that, and
yeah,
he's just singing it like he's very relaxed and very cruisy and not overtaxing himself, and he wanted that sassiness there, and I think it's wonderful. So I could potentially rank that a little bit higher, actually, but I'm happy with the way we're ranking these songs so far, guys. So well done. No time. So we go from a wonderful little sassy, jazzy feel on Up From the Skies into Spanish Castle Magic, and we're just like, wow. The intro kicks like a mule. That aggressive, fuzz-driven strat tone is just wow. Great feel applied by Mitch and Noel. They're right in the pocket together. The verses take on another feel with that kick drum sort of holding the beat. And there's just that fantastic melody and lyrics over the verses. And, if you read the lyrics to some of these songs, I love that bit. It's like, yeah, if we travel by my dragonfly, just like this. There's such psychedelia, trippy things going on all the time, but he was such a colorful lyricist, and the way he wrote lyrics, and he set like a bit of a scene in this lyrically when you're listening to it. Then the chorus kicks in again with that amazing feel from Mitch Mitchell, and you can tell why Jimi Hendrix loved playing with Mitch, because I think Mitch was playing drums the way Hendrix wanted them to be played on the songs. He had that feel. He was a jazz drummer, and he was playing that swing, that jazz swing over the songs, but in a rock sense. So I can't really explain that properly, but I think out of all the drummers that worked with Hendrix, he always went back to Mitch right till the end of his career for that reason. There's some fantastic guitar playing on this song from Jimmy. His solo in this is epic. The outro solo as well. There's some classic sort of Clapton-like lines at the start of his solo to me, and then he stretches out into like a true Jimi Hendrix fashion, while underneath it all, he's singing stuff like "It's all in your mind," yeah, a little bit of daydream here and there. He's setting a scene that's like he's trying to get you to feel the vibe of what he's doing, and it's not about the notes he's playing or whatever. He's just doing what's right for the song, and he wants you to be part of it. Apparently the lyrics were inspired by Hendrix's high school years. He regularly visited a roadhouse called the Spanish Castle. So that's where the lyrical content sort of stemmed from. But obviously when you're talking about If We Travel by My Dragonfly, you're not basing it solely around that one topic. Okay, so I mean, go on for hours about this song, and I love hearing other people perform this song. One of my friends, Philip Sace, performs this song and does such an amazing job of it. And look, I could go on again for hours, but I have to give this, top marks, 100 out of 10. It's never a skip, and it's a masterpiece to me. Rock Professor.
Cool. So, yes, absolutely. This is much more kind of classic Hendrix territory, isn't it? With that kind of that foxy lady type chord at the beginning. And interestingly, I think that Brad, that Noel Redding played an 8-string Hagstrom bass rooted through an octaver on it, which gives it that kind of, when they, as you said, when the bass and the guitar play that stuff in unison, they really lock into the, into that strong rhythmic part of the song. It gives it its drive, and it's very kind of the other thing on it is it's got that very kind of late 60s mix, hasn't it, with guitar in one speaker, drums and voice, and the bass over the right, and you can kind of turn off things like turning the balance around. There's kind of like and clearly in that, look, I've discovered panning the guitar from one side to the other. which made me smile. It felt like a bit like a kid with a new toy. It's like, look, we're going to do this. Look, it's really cool. Which I thought was lovely. I thought, it's fantastic. It's great. So, and I agree with you, that spaced out solo at the end to kind of to round it off. And I'll just remind you, kids, all in 3 minutes. Not to be 33 minutes, all in 3 minutes. So I gave this a 9 out of 10. Never a skip. Fantastic song, and again, beautifully played and a different vibe to the first track and stuff. I'm all for a variety and things, but yeah, really cool. Andrew.
Look, I can't add much more. Obviously, it's one of the. Okay, I'm probably only going to say it a couple of times. I promise I won't say it 50 million times. Going third, But Brad, especially on this introduction on this song, has outlined everything. One thing though that I found when I was doing a bit of research, guys. So Hendrix is playing piano on this.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Now, so
interestingly, I didn't hear that when I was listening to it on headphones. It's only when I listened to it on my stereo that I heard that the piano bit. Interesting. Yeah.
This goes back to different mixes that are available because and what's out there, because you had the CD mixes that came out which mongrelized versions of this album. So again, you've got to be careful what you listen to online as well. What version are you listening to online? But just to back up what the Rock Professor said there about the panning. So apparently the reason why they pan that left and right is because Hendrix wanted the keyboards to come through. And if they'd done it any other way that they had traditionally done, it would have got lost in the mix. So again, this is Kramer, the engineer, and Brad. You'll back us up on this. You can have that producer's mind and that composer's mind, but you've got to be able to engineer it. You got to get that somehow out. And so this is my point with this album. After talking to you guys for a couple of years, this is why I think this album is so great, because it's not just Hendrix, the guitar player. Brad, it's and so I was really excited at this stage when I was listening to this and backing it up with a bit of research that I was doing during the week. Mate, I'm going to give, I was thinking about maybe an 8 beforehand, on my third listen. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10, Brad. And Rock Professor, never a skip. It's a masterpiece. Absolutely.
That's great. Yeah.
I have to sort of say, like, the guitar tone on the record, especially on that song, it's so good that you can really hear the fuzz pedal. Like, you can hear it, like you can feel the fuzz. It's like it's there. It's not manufactured. It's not a plug-in with some thing like a computer. It's an old fuzz face, straight into an amp, and he's just going for it, and it's fantastic. So
and that kind of way of mixing things that has all that space, you really get to hear it, don't you? You can get, you really get without kind of struggling with it. Sorry, Andrew. Go on.
And one of the reasons why I think this is delectable in itself, as opposed to doing comparisons to other people, for example, Brad said very clearly, the guitar tone. So this guitar tone that we're hearing is exactly what Jimi Hendrix wanted, as opposed to, for example, Eddie Van Halen on his first couple of albums wasn't getting the tone that he wanted. So just imagine, 67, Hendrix is getting Simon what he wants.
Because let's not forget, he'd been playing music, doing some recording, all sorts of things for quite a few years before this, before 67. He's probably doing it for 5 years before 67, 5 or 6 years. Learned a lot on the Chitlin circuit with, Curtis Mayfield and all those things.
I'm going to jump in. No disrespect to what he was doing on the Chitlin circuit, but I think what he was doing in his mind in the studio, while there are symmetries between them, I think it's a different thing, Simon. I think he was a different animal altogether in the studio.
No, but my point is that he didn't just turn up, and this wasn't the first time he'd been in a recording studio. He had that experience of being a musician, of playing both live and in the studio to get your head around the actual process of recording. Then when you get in the recording studio and you've got, you have an idea. Clearly, he had a very clear idea about what he wanted in terms of sound, in terms of, and there's these new things, the octave pedal, the fuzz pedal, and all of that stuff. The fuzz and Marshall amps and all those things that, that give you, give you the sounds and give you the things, but he's ready for it because he's done all that background, all that homework, all that, that the basis on which, clearly the major part of that's the playing, but also the production, the thought about how the process of recording and how you want it set up. Clearly he's got a lot of control in this about how he wants it done to make it work, which is fantastic.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, if we thought we'd had our socks blown off for that last song, we've got some amazing treats coming up, guys.
It gets better.
It's better. I'm not going to give away too much, so we might have to wait until tomorrow before we find out about the last song. But so wait until tomorrow.
It's on fire.
This song in particular, I got into this song almost straight away. It was one of those songs. I loved the guitar tone. I loved everything about the start, the intro, the feel, everything that was going on. There's some beautiful, clean guitar tones. While there's experiments with some real Curtis Mayfield and Isley Brothers sort of rhythm guitar playing here, but he's making it his own. And I back Andrew up there. He became his own, for lack of better ways of putting it. He became his own beast, his own monster with his style. He took it to the next level, and in the intro has some really nice syncopation, and there's some great start and stops. There's fun backing vocals, some very laid back lead vocal lines, almost like storytelling. Lyrically, look, it's no secret, it's about a boy's love for a girl, but ends up getting shot by the father. So we know what the story's about, which it's a very smart song arrangement. It's just very smooth with the transitions as well, because I don't know if anyone's tried playing this with a band. It's hard because you've got to get those transitions right, otherwise it does sound a bit patchy. And I love the way they did it. I always love hearing this song. It doesn't really have a huge guitar solo in it, but the rhythm guitar playing enough holds strength on how great Jimmy was as a player. And it really, to me, he's playing like this song and the songs that are coming up really highlights that he was probably the greatest rhythm guitar player that ever walked the face of the planet. Wait until tomorrow. Look, it's a pop song. It's got an R&B guitar riff, and just to top it off nicely, it's got Mitch Mitchell and Noel Redding singing some background vocals, singing the "You think you better wait till tomorrow." The one thing that I find always funny is once the song goes, "Click bang, what a hang, your dad just shot for me," and then they go, "Don't have to wait till tomorrow." I love that bit. Look, I love the song, and actually just watched again. I've seen it 100 times or more. I watched John Mayer covering this with his John Mayer trio, and it's just a song that can stretch out for 5-10 minutes longer than the recorded version. All these songs are, like I said, with Spanish Castle Magic, like Philip Sace plays it for like 10 minutes and it doesn't get boring. But this one, again, it can stretch out longer. It's a really short song on the record, but for me, it's a 9 out of 10 for me and never a skip. Rock Professor.
Yeah, 3 minutes. Again, just saying. Yep. Yeah, I think that for me, clearly, this is a kind of R&B song with a proper R&B guitar riff, old style R&B guitar riff. So it reminded me there's something of the Isley Brothers in that, and also somebody said there's something of which I can see Steve Cropper guitar playing in that rhythm guitar playing kind of thing that I think is really true. I think, as you say, Brad, it hasn't got a great sort of solo, but it has got that really amazing rhythm guitar playing that is just, for me, I'm with you on that. I think that there's nobody more amazing at that kind of rhythm guitar playing than Jimmy. Playing those funky chord sequences at the beginning. Again, the relaxed vocals. It's a pretty relaxed vocal performance. It's not. Yes, I couldn't fail really to laugh about the falsetto chorus who's kind of doing that answer thing. It did sound vaguely amusing to me. I don't know if that was intended, but it's you can't always have. You've got to have the light with the shade. You absolutely have got to have the light with the shade. And we talk a lot on here about programming and about where you fit different songs together and the way it should be done. I gave this an 8.5 out of 10, so right in the same ballpark as you. Never a skip, and a bit of light after what we've had previously. Fantastic stuff, Andrew.
Romantic role playing, it's great, isn't it? It's always gonna be an interesting song. I'm glad that you guys mentioned the background vocals, care of Redding and Mitchell. But again, Simon, it's got to go back again. This is Jimmy and these and Noel certainly being influenced by white boy soul vocals, and they do it pretty well, which is what they've been doing up north there, a bit north from where Simon is, for a long time. So again, it's just wonderful how you can see these connections. The picking these flowers that Jimmy's doing. Immediately through his involvement of being around England and that influence, that he had, Brad, it must have been huge. Just even going back to gear, Marshall amps, and different musical varieties that were not just happening in the Chitlin circuit, Simon, but in the working club circuit. So clever guy. Going to give the song an 8 out of 10, but I just love the history of what Jimmy was trying to do in '67 and making it relevant. Clever, smart guy.
Oh yeah, and a humorous guy. He was a funny man, and that I think that would have been his little humor coming out, going sing. Don't have to wait till tomorrow. Yeah. He would have wanted that because he was into humor as well as being serious. So I think that made it really, really, really amazing. So
I'm glad you got the humor of it as well, Brad. I was a bit like, it's just I feel like it's making me laugh. It's like looping shots making me laugh. It's is that right? But
I always laughed that last little bit. Click bang, what a hang! Your dad just shot on me.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like, oh, shot me. And as as I fade away, don't have to wait till tomorrow. Anyway,
I know, it's funny.
so we're
dear.
we're up to Ain't No Telling, and we talk about short songs. This is 1 minute 46 of, what can I say? What a song, Ain't No Telling. It's a great song. It's complex. From that fantastic little intro dive that he does again, Mitch Mitchell, with his blistering drum fills and feel on this song. He leads this song. I used to say when I used to watch Monterey that it was Jimi Hendrix there leading, and they were the white boys were just trying to keep up with Jimi Hendrix. But when you listen to the songs like Ain't No Telling and things like that, when you listen to his songs, like Mitch Mitchell was really, he's holding these songs together, and this is a perfect example. There's some great guitar tracking on this song. With all the changes, there's a lot of havoc going on. There's lots of runs, starts and stops. It's done so well. Jimmy sings with conviction, and he's holding that weight well with his voice. The BVs are great. I love the short little lead guitar solo into the drum break. Jimmy highlights his amazing ability to orchestrate guitar parts and play exactly what's needed for the song, and that's exactly what he does in this. And I love this. I gave it 9 out of 10. Never a skip for me. Simon.
Yeah, I couldn't agree. I think that little chord and that down on the whammy bar is classic Hendrix, isn't it? To start, and the two guitars as well. Those two guitar parts that he plays in the middle. Yeah, and the Mitch Mitchell drumming is amazing. He's very kind of jazzy, isn't he? There's a lot of jazz in his playing, a lot of busy. I feel like there's a sort of a bit of a kind of Ginger Baker kindred spirit there in some ways as a player, and that, but having that kind of more jazzy background means that's what you do. You're not just laying down the beat. You're I think it's the time as well, that when, everyone's expanding out, aren't they? Keith Moon's expanding out, John Lynch's, is taking a bass guitar, and, they're doing the same things. But what else, it doesn't just have to be going, all the way through. It can be an expressive instrument on its own, giving color and rhythm and to the way the songs. And I think it's is really cool, that all of that stuff. I like the space echo ending as well, Brad. That kind of wiggy out space echo ending. That's very cool. Yeah. Again, I point out 146. You get a lot of ideas in 146 if you're trying. I gave this an 8 out of 10, and never a skip. That's a fantastic, lots of fun, great stuff. I'll just point out one thing that made me smile. Is that the first verse is. There ain't no telling, baby, when you will see me again, but I pray it will be tomorrow. It seems to be following on from the last one.
Again, that you just actually picked up on that, and that to me is where the theme of this record. There's a slight theme in this record along the whole between the songs.
Yeah, that's funny. That made me smile. That did as well. Following up their backing vocals from the last song. Anyway, Andrew.
A couple of things. We got Crappy Luxury in the chat. Good to see you. And Arvin jumped in. I think Arvin's here. So always appreciate you guys jumping in with us. Thank you very much. And we're going to do another clickbait thing before Brad gives his next score. He's going to model that wonderful T-shirt that he's got. So we'll isolate him before he gets in there for all you clickbait aficionados. We can do that on this channel too.
And he's going to play all the solos to all the songs to demonstrate them. No, he isn't.
Back to work. Look. If Wait Until Tomorrow had some anchors in white boy soul vocals from England, Ain't No Telling certainly bang smack R&B, isn't it? It's back on that Chitlin circuit. Robert Ranford's got a cool little comment here about sounding like the Stones.
That's interesting.
Yeah, man. Yeah. No argument.
That's a good shout, Robert. Yeah.
You know, because this certainly sounds like something that Jimmy would be playing on the Chitlin Circuit. In my mind, Simon. In my mind, I'm thinking that, you know, and also, you know, that classic blues thing, Brad, of call and response with that vocal lick, you know, simple solo. Gotta love it. Again, you know, it's just, you know, chalk and cheese between this and, you know, the previous album. You know, the contrast that the Rock Professor spoke about in his intro. I love it. My mind's going all over the place when I'm listening to this song and this album, Brad, and that's not a bad thing. Brad, I'm going to give this an 8 out of 10 only because I'm going to get, because there's some, there's some great things coming up, and we're not talking about Brad's clickbait. All right. Here we go. You guys want to see what Brad's wearing? Here we go.
Oh, God.
Yay.
Yay!
Bloody hell. Look at that. That's the biggest head I've ever seen. Sit down, Brad. It's quite scary.
Clickbait. All right.
Doing that doesn't do him any justice at all.
Well done.
Oh dear.
Goodness,
so funny.
I think we're lost now after that.
Hey,
Little wing.
Hey, at least our detours are connected to the topic in the show.
Well, you know, we're clickbait, not detouring. We've got it all happening here. We've got it all happening.
It's all going on. Oh dear.
I dusted off this t-shirt for today.
It's a cool t-shirt, bro. It's cool, man.
It's fun.
I couldn't not wear a Jimi Hendrix t-shirt today. So listen, the next song is a masterpiece in my opinion. Little Wing. Perfection, recorded in 2 minutes and 27 seconds. From that amazingly delicate rhythm guitar part, incorporating almost lead-like lines, guitar parts at the same time. To the moment the guitar comes in through the Leslie speaker and hits our ears, something wonderful is happening. It's like we're listening to, in my opinion, what guitar would sound like if it was run through liquid honey. That tone, honey, like I envision honey dripping when I hear the start of this song, especially when the Leslie speaker comes up in the mix. There's some beautiful playing there. That's Jimi Hendrix. Just no one can. I mean, so many people play Little Wing, including myself. No one plays it like this. Everyone plays it, and rightfully so. Hendrix was his own thing, and I think it's great to hear other players play this song, but hearing this version of it every time nearly makes me cry. It's beautiful. There's some wonderful drumming in this from Mitch. He delivers the most perfect drumming for this song. No, I don't think anyone could have put a better drum down for this song in particular. Noel Redding is really holding that bottom end down. He's hitting those accents properly. He's really locked in with Mitch. The song's so delicate, and the way they're performing it, it deserves that kind of attention. Jimmy sings wonderfully on this, so soulful and delicate. There's so much beauty in his delivery, the way he's expressing his lyrical content. The solo from the dive bomb downwards, onwards is truly amazing. It evokes emotion from the listener. He plays perfectly for the song. It's one of Jimi Hendrix's greatest songs ever. Lyrically, it was his impression of the Monterey Pop Festival. So imagine if he wasn't invited to play Monterey Pop Festival, we wouldn't have had this song. it's put into the form of a girl. So he's singing about Monterey Pop Festival put into the form of a girl. This is a quote here. I'm going to read this out. It's pretty important, so I think it's important I'll read it. It says, I got the idea like when we were in Monterey and I was just looking at everything around. So I figured that I'd take everything I see around and put it maybe in the form of a girl's, maybe something like that, you know, and call it Little Wing. And then it would just fly away. Everybody's really flying. They're really in a nice mood. I like the Police, and everybody was really, really great out there. So I just took all those things and put them into one very, very small little matchbox, you know, into a girl, and then do it. It was very simple, but I like it though. So that was Jimi Hendrix quoting why, you know, how he come up with the song lyrically. And, you know, God bless, you know, was it Brian Jones that invited him to play in Monterey? Guys, it was, wasn't it, from the Stones? Yeah.
Brian Jones.
Yeah, so God bless Brian Jones. So we probably wouldn't have got that song if he didn't play Monterey, which is one of the reasons that, you know, I'm heavily into Hendrix because of that watching that VHS. So, yeah, for me, it's never a skip. 100 out of 10, never a skip, guys. I can't really say more than, you know, I get goosebumps listening to the song Rock Professor.
I think that's true, isn't it? It's the classic Hendrix intro, you know, that seamlessly weaving chord and single notes together, you know, and unusual chord voicings that he uses, you know, that is like nobody else. I think Tom Morello said, you know, this is such a gorgeous song that as a guitar player, you can study your whole life and not get down, never get inside the way that he does. And I think that's probably true. You know, it's that's a fantastic quote. And I think sums up, you know, what this is. I mean, as you say, Brad, you know, beautiful, relaxed, tuneful, emotional vocals. You know, I mean, you know, again, that kind of light, airy thing that kind of, you know, that is kind of reflected in the, you know, in the lyric, you know, the lyrics about clouds and butterflies and moonbeams and stuff. It's all kind of fairly light things in the sky kind of thing. And so, you know, it is one of Hendrix's greatest tunes, one of his most beautiful things he ever did. You know, I love that kind of the simplicity, the two guitars panned left and right, and the glockenspiel as well, just doing a little tingy thing just to give it a bit of color, a bit of texture, not overdone, just a tiny, you know, just a tiny bit that adds to the magic and the beauty of this as a song and as a composition. Yes, it's a Brad score. It's 100 out of 10, 1,000 out of 10, and you know, never ever a skip. As I say, one of his greatest tunes, one of his most classic tunes. But you know, and I will say it again, picking up on John's point, you know, 2:24, ladies and gentlemen, you know, need to be 18 minutes long. No, I'm all for an 18-minute song, but you know, leave them wanting more is the thing. Yes, classic, beautiful song, fantastic. Andrew.
Oh, where do I start? Yeah, I love all the versions of the song. John ZD351 said he even loves the club pub version that he hears, you know, that people play in the pubs. So we've been lucky and fortunate on this show to talk about Stevie Ray Vaughan's version of this song. We've been lucky to talk about Eric Clapton and the Derek and the Dominoes version of this song. Now we're fortunate enough to, as a collective, to collaborate and share our opinions on this song from the man himself. It's you know, sometimes on this channel we use this word a lot, don't we? But it is a masterpiece, isn't it? It's just phenomenal. I fell in love with the song Simon and Brad the first time I heard it on this album. You're right, Brad. Those words when you're a young guy, what the heck do they mean? You know, and and you know, we've been influenced at the same time by Jim Morrison around that same, you know, and he's talking about this guy, this French guy called Arthur Rimbaud. So you go to the library and you get this book of Arthur Rimbaud and you're reading his poems and all that, and it's starting to make a bit of sense to you. It's a phenomenal song. I'm glad you guys mentioned Brian Jones, because I think the Glockenspiel, I don't know, I can't prove it, but we all know that Brian Jones loved playing all these weird instruments, the dulcimer and all these kind of other stuff, other instruments I can't remember, Simon. You know, Brad, wouldn't it be nice to think that maybe they had a phone call with Brian and Brian said, yeah, play that instrument, man. It's going to sound really good, you know. Who knows? I like to think that could have happened. I'm glad you mentioned the Glockenspiel, because they one night bars, you know, it's just fantastic. My co-hosts have said a lot about the song too, but I'm Brad scoring this. It's just a masterpiece. I love it. I love it. I'm getting chicken skin now when I think about this song. I'll never get tired of it, ever.
No.
And guys, nope. I just want to take 2 seconds of everyone's time, if you can allow me to. I just want to quickly read the lyrics out. It'll only take a second, but I just want people to soak this up. It's not in the context of a song. It's just words written down now. The lyrics are, well, she's walking through the clouds with a circus mind that's running wild. Butterflies and zebras and moonbeams and fairy tale. That's all she ever thinks about, riding with the wind. When I'm sad, she comes to me. With 1,000 smiles, she gives to me free. It's all right, she says. It's all right. Take anything you want from me. Anything. So that's pretty poetic in my opinion. That's not just a guitar player, in my opinion. That's a quite an amazing musician and someone who's tapped into let's just say their purpose at being a human becoming, or why they're here. That he loved to express color in his lyrical content. It wasn't necessarily about just singing words. His first, record, he sang about Foxy Lady and Purple Haze and experiences and stuff like that. But now he's becoming more of a poetic genius on this record, and it's only a few months after the release of the first record. So there you go, guys. That's thanks for allowing me to do that.
No problem. See you, Robert, if you're still here. Sorry we didn't get to say goodbye, but thank you, bro, for your hard work. Love you. Fantastic, Brad.
Yeah. So I think we've got
one more song on side one. Yeah. I was going to say that the key word for me is experience, isn't it? It is the experiences that he goes through, and his view of the world, that colour the lyric writing, that he's just going to Monterey, produce, that experience produces an amazing song and an amazing kind of poetic way of putting that across, and not straightforward. Yeah, fantastic.
So look, a lot of creative geniuses see things in they see music in color, and they express frequencies and sound waves in color, not necessarily just by making noise. So there's a lot of depth to Jimi Hendrix, more so than just being the guitar player that everyone knows him to be. I just wanted to highlight that. It's a pretty important thing. We talk about Hendrix all the time. We talk about his playing, and it's fantastic. But lyrically, he was a genius as well. So we're up to, if 6 was 9. Now, this song, I don't even know where to start with this one, and I had a lot of time actually, like how to express this when I'm writing down everything. So I'm just going to go with what I wrote with, and we'll go from there. It's the last song on side 1, and what a song! It's a theme for individualist. It's a statement. I have to say, the guitar tone is arguably one of the greatest Strat sounds ever recorded. I love that neck pickup. sound, and when he kicks it over to the bridge, the bridge pickup, it's perfect. It's perfection. It's just so. What can I say? I think that that tone of the guitar, you're hearing the strings, you're hearing the wood, you're hearing the amp, you're hearing the speakers in the room. I love that. That to me is everything. There's so much body in what we're hearing there. Look, it's the album's longest track. It's probably one of the most psychedelic songs on the record as well. Does kind of lean a little bit more towards Electric Ladyland for me than Are You Experienced. Like it's where they were heading, I think, towards Electric Ladyland. Mitchell plays perfect on this entire track. He's captured Jimmy's feel and vision perfectly on this. There's some beautiful layering from Jimmy on the guitar, the way they've tracked the guitars. Noel hits the accents in, on, and between the parts perfectly. It's a credit to him that they did it so well, and they pushed him in the mix, so it was like really strong. The middle section takes us on a new trippy sort of journey. There's some fantastic effects going on, some stereo panning. The little drum solo section is fantastic. Then it's followed by that long fade out with the fantastic effects, the bird noises. Then there's the guys from I'm just trying to think of was it the Walker Brothers, Gary Leeds and Graham Nash, their feet stamping throughout the outro, which was invited by Noel Redding to come in. They were apparently in the same studio when they were recording the song, and he said, "Come on, hey man, come in," And this song was featured predominantly on the soundtrack for that '69 counterculture film Easy Rider. I gave this song a 9 out of 10. The lyrics in it are fantastic. It's a statement, and it's a bold statement for the time frame, 1967. Rock Professor.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I think yes, absolutely. That kind of, I mean, it is amazing. It's got. I wrote down dramatic opening. It's got that dramatic opening, and it's a very, straight away you've got there's a drama to it, isn't there? That kind of, that you feel something's going to happen. And as you say, Brad, that conversation between the counterculture and the white collar conservative old school thing is such a 1967 thing. But I'm not going to pick out the stuff. You pretty much picked it out. I did at one point. If you listen carefully, you can hear him chewing gum, can't you? Towards them, you can actually hear him chewing gum. I was like, I could hear him chewing gum. Hendrix, are you chewing gum? which I thought was fantastic. One thing that I don't know if you noticed. I'm sure you've noticed this in the past, but if I just read out the lyrics, right? So the lyrics, the verse one are: if the sun refused to shine, I don't mind. If the mountains fell in the sea, let it be. It ain't me. Right now, if I read out this other song that goes: if the sun refused to shine, I would still be loving you. When the mountains crumble to the sea, then there'll still be you and me.
Wow.
Do you think they covered it? Do you know what the second one is? You clearly do.
Yeah,
Yes, thank you. Yeah, absolutely. When I heard it, I thought it's one of those kind of epiphany moments. You go, if the sun refused. Wait a minute. If I go, if the sun refused. If I do a completely different rhythm and slow it down. Wait a minute, I know what that is. The first and the third things are completely the same, which is very cool.
Okay, well, I'll scrub that off.
Sorry, did you spot that as well? Oh God, I'll tell you what. You can say where it comes from. How's that?
No,
leave it a scrap. A scrap.
No, I
That's
don't
mean. Oh, look at that. Apparently. It's a reference to the creation myth of the second world of Hopi mythology, which is Native American mythology stuff. But I think that it's amazing, kind of, as I say, it's very much of its time, that kind of psychedelic kind of conversation and all that. I think that it suffers a bit by coming, like anything would, by coming after Little Wing. Yeah. It's like following Hendrix on stage. It's somebody's got to do it, but that's going to be hard work. I gave this an 8.5 out of 10, but never a skip. But it's a fantastic, and as I say, in many ways, is a window onto 1967 and that conversation stuff, which is makes it culturally really important because it gives a cultural perspective from one side, which is fantastic. So yeah, Andrew.
What a killer last side track. It's a killer. I'm glad that you guys made the reference to Easy Rider as well, because my notes, it's a confrontational song. There's no holding back in the production, so it just fits well into that that edge, Brad. That we've got the hippie thing going on in America at the same time, but we've got that edge, that sharp edge of the counterculture movement too, Simon. And we see it, don't we, in Altamont a couple of years later, with with that sharpness that's happening at the same time, Brad, where people are talking about Little Wing. It's the same people are listening to the same song, the same artists. They're going to the same gig. They're going, and Jimmy's capturing aspects of what he can see, I'm sure, and he's giving it back to them. And we've said it many times. Clever musicians, clever guys, clever girls, they pick up on this, don't they? And and it's always going to be something that's a product of the time, especially in 67 and 68 and moving forward into the 1970. I love that. When I hear the song, Brad, I think of those times. When I hear Little Wing, I'm thinking today. I'm thinking now, which is great. But when I hear this song, I'm thinking, whoa, scary, edge, 8.5 out of 10. Certainly never a skip. Love it.
Yeah. No, I love it too, and I'm glad we're all on the same page with that. I would love to know who's singing at the start of it when it's going dun dun dun, and then the voice comes and goes, "Yeah, sing a song." I don't know who's doing that. Is it Mitch Mitchell, or I don't know? Someone might be able to tell us about that. I've always thought it's Mitch Mitchell, but it's not credited as doing it. So, but I just love that bit. It's just a really cool little section. It sets some really bits. Someone there's just sounds like someone standing there with a spliff going, "Yeah, sing a song,"
1967, yeah, man, sing a song. Beautiful.
So, Andrew, do you want to show some photos now? It's a good time, yeah.
Yeah, end of side one.
Yep, end of side one. We're going to show the photos, and this is the album cover when it's completely folded out.
Hold on, mate. Sorry.
It's going on a bit of a woo.
Hold on.
Just going too quick. Yeah. So yeah, it was done. I'm just trying to remember. I did have my notes in there. It just disappeared 2 seconds. But the artwork, it was a photo that was taken of Hendrix and then incorporated in a painting by a guy named Roger Law. The photo was taken by Carl Ferris, and what happened was Hendrix wasn't necessarily involved in the choice of the cover art on this as much as we want to believe. But I know for a fact that they wanted to make a beautiful fold-out package. They wanted to liken it to the Beatles' Sgt. Pepper's sort of vibe. They wanted to go that sort of thing, and with lots of Indian cats and gods and sage and elephant trunks and obviously cobras and stuff like that. But I know Hendrix was not over the moon about the cover art. He stated that the cover would have been more appropriate if it highlighted his Native American heritage. But that aside, I really do like the album cover, and I love the color scheme, and I think it's just a really cool. It catches a lot of the vibe and energy of the record for me. So, what do you guys think?
I think it's right. I do think yes, I've read that there was just this basic misunderstanding of the word Indian. So they went with Indian instead of Native American, which is which it's quite amusing actually. It's classic, misinterpretation of what you're talking about, stuff. But I think it's a good, yeah.
I love it. I think it's fantastic. Scenes from the Bhagavad Gita there. You got Krishna there. You got Shiva. You got Ganesh up here as well, and the different gurus from the Sikh tradition. It's fantastic. All seeking enlightenment and rebirth. Brad, shit, man. If they got it wrong, it certainly links into that whole late 70s vibe. The Beatles, transcendental meditation, Hare Krishna. Eastern philosophy. It's part of that manifesto, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I love it. That aside, he couldn't have hated it that much, because if he hated it that much, it wouldn't have ended up going out. I'm sure he would have tried to stop it. So, so they're the tracks, the song tracks. That's the CD version, obviously, a bit easier to read, but. So they're the tracks. You can see that the song listing, they're not very long songs. They're all, majority of them are under 3 minutes. There's a couple there just over. But other than that, so that's the LP there. So that's the cover before you look at it opened up, the fold down section. Very cool. I love it.
Yeah.
The inside obviously got the lyrics there. Again, one thing I think I do recognize that Hendrix probably wanted the lyrics in the album, because he was quite proud of his lyrical work at that stage. So, as a songwriter, you can get a little bit sort of, what do you call it? You can get a little bit shy about your lyrics, but I think they were fantastic and really, just goes to prove that he was a poetic genius as well as an amazing musician.
Yeah.
That's side one. So, and that's side two. Obviously, there was some, that center picture as well is very cool. The three boys. At this stage, they were, obviously very much a band. It was Jimmy's band. It was Jimi Hendrix Experience, but they were, the first two records in particular featured, the three boys in nearly every song. And on this record, they give a little nod to Noel in one song, which we're getting to anyway. So I just like, this is the period piece for around that 67, late 67 sort of era, maybe early 68. But I believe that was one of the, from my readings, I'm not sure if I'm correct with this, but that was a choice for the album cover, potentially.
Yep, that's what I've been told over the years, bro. Yeah,
famous photo. As well, which I like that as well. But I
cool.
do what they ended up using, which is very cool as well. I just sort of share a couple of images of the band. You can get a good look at that. Still there, very English. Jimi Hendrix, and obviously the guy at the bottom there, the bass player, Noel Redding. So apparently Noel Redding got
the carousel.
Yep. He dug their hairdos, so he gave him the job apparently. And some promo shots around the time. It was you could see that all look pretty happy. You know, there was obviously maybe a misconception later that Noel wasn't happy and whatnot, but I think that came more during Electric Ladyland. You know, there was obviously moments, but obviously this is around 67, early 68. I think this is late 67. Hendrix on stage, just a good image. That one that really captures the essence of Hendrix live, in my opinion. He was like the guitar version of Elvis, in my opinion, because he was a performer. He performed as well. At this point, he was still, you know, playing behind his head and you know,
hey, flames
and doing everything like that. Where later, obviously, he sort of forego that because he felt like it was overshadowing the power of his music. But
and he always looked cool in that ostrich feather vest too, didn't he?
Well, he always looked cool. Even, you know, like Monterey wore feather boas, mate. You know, it's like very cool.
Yeah. See, I heard that that you know when he likes the guitar. Apparently, he didn't like one of his new guitars, so he got an older one, 62.
Yeah, 62.
Yeah. Yeah. I went and got an old crappy one. Yeah, right. Yes.
No, the new one. Just burn the old ones that are probably worth over.
Yeah. One of the old ones that are worth twice as much as the 68 one. Yes.
Yeah.
Somebody go back and tell him.
Yeah. So I always love these sort of images of looking at the people in the crowd, just like they're all fascinated with Hendrix. I mean, you can see the look on their faces. Like those guys, some of them are looking like very strangely at him. Others are looking with joy. You
look
know,
at the short hair and the suits and ties and all that, Brad. Yeah,
a lunchtime
amazing,
gig.
isn't it?
Be a lunchtime gig.
Looks like.
Could be.
And you know, they're obviously they're into it. They're all clapping.
Yeah.
They're into it. They're getting into it. That's a great image. I love this one too. They're just like they're not sure. You know, it's like they want to enjoy. They're just not sure. There's a few bottles of Coca-Cola on the ground.
It's a lunchtime gig because they're drinking Coke. Yep.
Coca-Cola. There, I see.
Well, it looks like there might be a few ale bottles there too, though.
Couple of Newcastle ale bottles. Ginger ale.
Yeah, there's a bit of corduroy though in that shot there, mate. So it might be an afternoon show. You don't know. So but yeah, you can see the look on their faces. It's just.
Is that a cell phone?
Nice. Is that a cell? Yeah, man travels back from the future with cell phone. You see, now you're setting hairs running, Dr. Andrew.
Dun, dun. Caught out.
Or it's a camera with a flash on the top.
Oh, okay. It's a camera with a flash. Okay.
With a flash on. That's what you used to have those little tower. You see, you want to be my age? Remember this with a little tower flash on them like that? Yeah. Cell phone. You could have told him not to like the 62 Strat, but he'd bloody bother.
Yeah. So Noel Redding, Mitch Mitchell on the outside. So that's Noel Redding.
You got to give Noel the extra nod for the better hairdo out of the three of them.
Yeah. Oh, look at that.
Jimmy and Mitch. Yeah. Oh, God bless them all.
1, 2, 3.
That's a classic picture of a live performance on TV. I think that might have even been a bit later than 67. I think it might be 68, but I'm not sure. But I like that picture. I just want to show that the three of them worked in a particular way together, and that's just a really classic photo for me of Hendrix, and you know, it was all about that peace, and you know, the people standing there just looking at his butt, wondering what the hell he's doing. You know,
look at that pedal board. Look at that pedal board.
Yeah. You know, people, you know, sort of put together these pedal boards and everything, and then look at Jimmy, you know, and what he could do with that guitar is just, was mind blowing. But his purpose on planet Earth was to come here, and in my opinion, he was brought here as a messenger. That's what I like to believe, anyway. So thanks for showing those, Andrew.
No problem, brother. Thank you.
Yeah, cool.
Thank you,
really
guys,
cool.
for the commentary.
Yeah. Yes, fantastic.
There's some great photos there. I could have sent you about 100 more, Andrew, but I thought that's enough. We can get too heavily into it, but it sets a nice mood, to be able to, have a look at them like that, and puts you in a vibe. And I thought to myself, why not share some pictures? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad that you didn't get any of those plaster of Paris models. Thank you.
What did I miss?
How do you mean? Cynthia Plastercast. Is this what we're referring to, Dr.
Yes, sorry.
I'm glad.
Yes, we didn't.
I'm
do
glad
any
you
of
didn't
that.
send any of those ones
No.
through.
I'm sorry. I used to, I used to know a lot more about that stuff, and I've given up on looking at all that stuff, Andrew, for a long time ago. So
I should hope you have.
The only reason why I mentioned that was because in a couple of the films, and the one with Andre 3000, and I think it's that one, or is it the other one? I don't know.
Yeah.
Where they make a big point about it, about Keith Moon's contribution being rather slim pickings. But the sacrifices people did back then for the sake of art.
Yeah. Well, on that note, I'm going to cut you all off.
Let's move along to side 2. That's my advice.
Let's keep the show rolling. Keep it
dear.
out of it, because there's some people in the chat that probably don't understand what we're talking about, guys, and let's leave it that way. Yeah.
I think they all know what we're talking about. And I reckon they know exactly what's going on here.
Yeah, well,
but this is a family show, and Mr. Walton, as usual, dragging it down.
Taking it to the gutter. Taking it to
the gutter. It's what he does with his headphones off, so he can't hear us.
Yep.
Dissing
him. We're on to the start of side 2, and I think that is You Got Me Floatin'. So, mate, if side 1 wasn't enough, side 2, there's some epic tracks coming up here, and we'll try and do our best to keep it short and sweet, guys, and not bore you with this. But I could talk about this album for hours. So, You Got Me Floating. It's an opening to the side 2, and a classic rock sort of opening as well. It's got like this swirling backward guitar that opens the song, and then it's got the solo that's backward. It's got back masking in it. It's fantastic. Great rhythm guitar playing on this. Double time drumming. Really sets a vibe for the song. Jimmy is vocally floating over the top of the melody, the song, the way it does it. What am I trying to get at? The actual progression of the song, he's just floating over the top, like he's bouncing. I always envision when I listen to him singing those songs that used to have the bouncing ball and lyrics. It's like that's what I picture, and I always picture his vocals are floating on top of the actual song. So it's sort of like You Got Me Floating Round. It's kind of like that's the name of the song. That's how I always picture it anyway. So the middle section shows some swinging drums, moving bass lines, and swirly backmasked guitar, which if you don't know what backmasked guitar is, it's when they record the guitar in one way and then they cut the tape and they reverse it and splice it back together, and it's just going backwards. And Jimmy was a master at doing that. He was one of the kings at doing it, and I'm not sure whether he was the actual first person to do it, because I'm not trying to take anything away from Tomorrow Never Knows and things like that from the Beatles, but with the tape masking and things like that. But yeah, so it's amazing the way that they used to do these things back in this time with the technology they had, which is unbelievable. The background vocals on this is Roy Wood and Trevor Burton from The Move, who toured with Hendrix as a package tour through Britain in '67. Redding knew they were in a studio next to him, and he invited them in to record some background vocals on the song. It's a great song. It's a great start to side 2 for me. 8.5 out of 10 for me, and never a skip. Rock Professor.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's completely fair. I agree with the backwards guitar. Having to manually cut the tape and turn it over and then tape it back in and stuff is welcome to analog world. And as I've said here a lot of times, that their constraints make them more creative, and I think and make things like that really cool because they're much more difficult to do. I mean, these days on Pro Tools, you just flip it around and it's done. Whereas then you had to work out where to cut it, make sure it's and turn it over and tape it back in, literally tape it back in with tape on the back and things, and make sure that it still fitted in the right place and things. And yeah, I think those things there's something really DIY and great about that sort of thing that somehow the digital world has taken away by making it all very easy. I understand completely why they've made it very easy, but yeah, it's a fun song. I think it's the right song to open side 2. It's got a bit more energetic singing. He's a bit more pushing the singing a bit more. It's not quite so relaxed, and that kind of end clean sound guitar freak out. Again, it's not a great whole load of effects on it, but yeah, really great. I gave an 8 out of 10 as well, Brad, and never a skip from me. Andrew.
Yeah, it's back to the bars, isn't it? It's without sounding disrespectful, but it's that R&B formula that we're all familiar with, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. That cross speaker fade that pulls certainly the song into the 1967 is a smart thing. Again, it's a great song for side 2. I'm not going to knock it too much, Simon. It certainly serves its purpose. It's a side warmer. Are you allowed to have side warmers?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think so. And the fact that you've got some backing vocals by Roy Ward, Trevor Boulder, Ace Kefford from The Move, who were recording next door at Olympic Studio. Again, that communal, collaborative effort that those guys had back then. Yeah. What did you do today? Well, we were in the studio, but guess what? We went and did backing vocals on Jimi Hendrix's new album.
Yeah, man.
Oh wow! But I'm sure that got them a few free pints back then, Simon.
Freak out. That's what it would have been for.
Only.
Look, I'm going to give it.
Hendrix would have been just like, yeah, it's really groovy, guys. Yeah, it's really cool.
Cool, man.
I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10 too. But yeah, a lovely side warmer.
Yeah.
We come to the second song on side 2 is Castles Made of Sand. What a song. I absolutely adore this song. And it's a beautiful ballad. Highlights Jimmy's love for R&B, rhythm and lead sort of playing at the same time, I call it. An amazing intro with a real cleanish, unique Strat guitar tone happening. There's some beautiful, delicately performed playing by Hendrix on this song. Once the song kicks off, Noel and Mitch really bring some like low down funkiness to the groove. Yeah, it's not just like they're playing along with it. It's got a little bit of funk to the groove. It's really cool. Jimmy's singing very laid back, almost storytelling like. Each verse contains separate descriptions of universal disappointments. The chorus incorporates similar arrangements and playing to the intro with some slight variations to the rhythm and lead embellishments. Includes a backward guitar solo and backward guitar effects again. I love the outro to this song as well. On a personal note, this is one of the first songs I started learning once I hired Dave Leslie from Baby Animals as my guitar teacher. And I just went into him. And one of the reasons I went to see him was to because I knew he could do it. I'd seen him play gigs. He's playing all this rhythm and lead sort of stuff together, like what I call that R&B style that Hendrix, like Little Wing and like Custom Made of Sand. And I knew he could do it. And I went to him and he said, well, let's go through with it today. So we started straight off the bat. So it's really weird that it happened that way. And it kind of feels like, this every time I listen to this song, I think of those guitar lessons with Dave Leslie, and I think of the many, 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 many hours I would sit there and try and nail this intro to this damn song. And I still can't do it the way Hendrix did it. But what an amazing song. It's a personal song for me. I love it. I have to give it 100 out of 10. It's never a skip for me, Rock Professor.
Absolutely.
Good night, Holly.
Yes. Good night, Holly. Sleep well. Thanks for dropping by. Yes, I mean, apparently it's one of his, it's one of his more autobiographical songs, taking some story, some situations from his own personal life and making them more universal in a story. As you say, Brad, it's about the bitter disappointments and stuff. What's interesting to me is that you've got that kind of floaty, breathy, relaxed vocal style, great melody and stuff, and actually that kind of counterpoint to the quite heavy lyrics, especially the third verse where a young girl in a wheelchair drives herself off a cliff, is quite heavy. The other two verses as well. So there's a bit of that the music as a contrast to the lyrical content of it, and which is cool and interesting. As you said, apparently he played all the lead guitar parts, and then they rewound the recording of the lead guitar parts to the song, so they're like backwards. So it's all backwards, and so doing what you described in the last one here, chopping it and changing it around. So it's fantastic. It's a great Hendrix kind of thing that you do, don't you? And typical of that era as well, doing that stuff. I gave it a 9.5 out of 10, and never a skip. Fantastic song, one of the cornerstones of this album as well.
100%.
Andrew.
Thanks L and M Guitar Center corner for jumping in. Nice to see you guys from Switzerland, I think.
Switzerland.
Yeah.
Sunny Switzerland.
Yeah, I think so. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. Thank you for jumping in.
Home of the mighty BV Ninja. If you know who he is.
And Helen Winter, if I didn't say g'day to you too, Helen, thank you. And some great posts on your social media over the last couple of days. Castles Made of Sand. Well, who would have thought that, great, lyrical, beautiful imagery could be explored by a failure of marriage? Brad, I got to say that it's pretty much up there with Little Wing as far as that lyrical imagery goes. Just another outstanding example of where Jimi Hendrix was going as a songwriter, as a composer, Simon, as a complete artist, and because of that, Brad, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10. What did I say 10 for? 9 out of 10. Never a skip. I'm not surprised, though, that this was a song that got you hooked because the guitar tone, and I've deliberately not spoken about guitar tone on this album because I knew Brad would be echoing and doing everything associated to the greatness of that thing that's happening on this album. And he's been doing wonderfully well, hasn't he, by describing it. But, the tone is just phenomenal. Go and listen to this song and you'll understand why Brad was so excited about playing the guitar. I'm going to change my... No, not 9 out of 10, Brad. 9 out of 10, never a skip.
Nine's great. I mean, look, I gave it 100 out of 10 because it's one of those ones that got me into playing this style of guitar playing. And I had one of my good friends that I hired at the time as a guitar teacher to teach it to me. And I still,
cool.
to this day, I'd sit down and it'd be one of the hardest things to try and capture. There's a way to describe this easily. You can play the notes, but to get the feel right is extremely hard. If that explains it well. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Kubrick.
To get that feel, the delicate playing, there's little things that he would do, I'm sure, with his guitar pick, like over the fretboard of the guitar, more so than the back of the guitar, and all sorts of things. But that's for another show to go on about techniques. I think we'll be here for So we get to the next song of the album is She's So Fine. And this is Noel Redding's contribution to the album as a composer. This to me, the first time I heard it, I won't lie, I used to skip this song occasionally in the past. I must say it's a great pop song recorded by The Experience, but it kind of stuck out like a sore thumb to me, like they were trying to write a pop song at the time. That's what I pictured. But I have to say, I would never skip this song now because I think it's an important part to The Experience's history. And, I want to give Noel Redding credit where credit's due, like it's a pop song. He wrote a song, a British pop rock sort of song that it even sounds like something The Who could have done. Mitch starts off the song and clearly the whole band from the start to the end are giving everything into this song. Like they really wanted this to be special for Noel Redding, I think. I know Jimi Hendrix was actually really into the song and worked hard on this song for the album. He liked the chord changes. He liked the G to the A to the G, the open G, and he liked the song. Jimmy put some really great guitar lead lines in there. The solo section's all planned out, like it's dual tracked guitars. It's written for the song. It's a piece. The outro solo panned in stereo. Look, I give it a 7 out of 10. It's never a skip now, and well done, and God bless Noel Redding.
Yeah, I think that there's because Noel was a guitar player, and a songwriter before and after Hendrix, and I think that tension about him wanting to have his representation on some of the albums and things by doing some songs. I think clearly this is part of that, as far as I'm concerned. As he had a song, and as you say, Brad, they did it properly, put their all into it, and that was cool. For me, it's a pretty standard piece of 60s pop. It kind of stands out in a way, as you said, kind of because of that. I think it's a much more. It reminded me of maybe the Hollies or the Beatles, or some of the backing singing and stuff like that was and the changes seem to be very much in that kind of 60s pop vein, which is no bad thing, by the way. That's fine. It's as a song, I think it's got some some really cool backing vocals and a nice guitar solo on it and things. So clearly they put their put their artistic stamp on it and things, and and the guitar playing power chords at the end. I gave it a 6.5 out of 10. I think that that there is something in there about it being a bit of a sop to Noel being a singer-songwriter, yeah. So 6.5 out of 10 for me, but not a skip. I wouldn't skip it because it's part of the album, and the story of the album. So that would be my point of view on it. Andrew.
Yeah, I didn't know at the time, guys, when I was first listening to this. I can't remember it being, a Noel song. I just thought it was, a Hendrix song, but never liked it. I found it, quite you know, funny in its mix compared to some of the other songs. But I think, you know, later on when you get a couple of guitar magazines and find out and realize, or maybe even read the record and it says, you know, composer or whatever, or written by, and that made a little bit of sense to me. Over time, though, you know, you realise, though, Simon, you're reading a little bit about what's happening with that British psychedelic pop scene, you know, and clearly Noel's trying to fit this song into that, isn't he? You know, he's trying to create some space for him. I don't know, Brad, when he decided that he was going to skip the experience and go and do his own thing, but probably was always in the back of his mind, wasn't it? You know, that he wanted to get out and do something. And if this was a stepping stone for him to get out there and do that, well, it's pretty good. I think the song probably is pretty good and is better because it's been around Hendrix. You know, I don't think this song would have been any better had Noel gone and done it individually. So that's my take on it. Look, I have to agree with you, Brad and Simon. I'd never skip it in the context of this album. But isn't it interesting, you know, that these guys have got to go and throw a song out that's a bit like Thorn in the Garden. Clapton gave that song to Bobby Whitlock, you know, on the Layla album. And I think that all of us didn't score that too high, you know, off the top of my mind. But we kind of said, you know, it fits in with what the vibe was of the album. Brad, same deal with this song, bro. 6 out of 10. Never a skip, though.
Yeah. No. And you know, it's I think it's important to acknowledge, you know, Noel Redding's contribution as well. You know, I think you know, at this point in the career of the Experience, the band, you know, he stepped out front and did a song, and from all accounts, Hendrix was right into it. It's not like he turned his nose up to it. He gave 100%. So that was very cool. Very cool. Mitch Mitchell plays great on it. Yeah, he's all over it. Yeah. So we're up to One Rainy Wish. Look, I love this song. There's some the arrangement, the guitar playing begins as like a ballad. It's almost like a waltz with a jazz infused cymbal sort of work going on, and some delicious guitar overdubs from Hendrix at the start. His chordal work in this is beautiful. Some real delicate verses, soulful singing, and really beautiful lyrics. It develops like a rock feel during the choruses. It's a different time signature from the verses. I love the solo. It's one of my favorite solos on the album in this song, and I love the guitar tracking in this song is beautiful, and I love the outro as well. I gave it a 9 out of 10. It's never a skip for me. Rock Professor.
No, that's right. So back on track really with the album. It's got great. Yeah, it's a kind of in my research they said it was sort of reminiscent of more American jazz guitarists like Jim Hall and Wes Montgomery. Things I can see that. Mike Stern said his playing is so lyrical; it has that same singing quality that I dig in Jim Hall's playing or Wes Montgomery's playing. So I think that there is that kind of, you know, that kind of jazz feel to it. Again, it has another dramatic start, you know, kind of thing that, and it has that lovely light, airy guitar, you know, that clean, sparkly sound that Hendrix seems to specialize in, particularly on here. Drums playing just a light roll, and then, you know, you've got double track guitars, one clean and one with seemingly quite a lot of echo reverb on it and things. Relaxed vocals, soulful, you know, singing, and those lovely kind of lead lines that Hendrix can just pull off, you know. And with the solos as well, fantastic soloing. It's you know, and again another spoken word section near the end, which seems to be a bit of a feature on this album. So I gave it an 8.5 out of 10, and never a skip. Great song, really, you know, love it. certainly not skipping it any time. Andrew.
It's a funny song. It's got that colourful, dreamy, dreamscape that that we've accustomed now to what Jimmy can give us. But I think it's not quite up there with some of the other songs. And I don't know what it is. It's not a polished song in my opinion. You got the twin guitars though that cascade and sort of dovetail into each other, into that guitar riff to the close the song, which is really really nice. It's look, I've got to be careful here what I say because I don't want to get timed out. It's not a gem of a song. It's for me. It's an album filler, and that's okay. That's fine. Look, I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. It's not my favorite song. It's just missing something, Brad, and I don't know what it is. It's a song that makes me want to sort of go, oh yeah, okay, yeah.
Maybe go and listen to the guitar tracking and have a good listen to what's going on with the chordal work and things like that behind it, and change it for you maybe. But I won't time you out. But that's 6 out of 10. I gave it 9. It's close, It's close. It's very close.
I love the melodic guitar, prelude, prelude. Yeah.
Prelude,
No, I dig what's going on. I dig it, but it's just, I can't quite pull the connections.
It's something you mentioned earlier, Andrew, about the jazz influence there, and I hear with the progressions like that he's doing there, although it's not traditional jazz, there's a jazz sort of side of things going on there, especially with the bits where it's
I get it now. I think you're right. Bit of that free-form jazz going on. See, that's why we do this. That's why we do this show.
And I mean that not he was obviously into jazz as well. Like he was experimenting and there was there's recordings of him doing jazz compositions, with other jazz musicians. That could have been him just at the start of him sort of delving into that. We don't know, but have another listen to that. And I was. It's always those songs like that one, like One Rainy Wish, that usually end up being one of my favorite songs on the album. It's got that. I love the solo on it too. The guitar solo is fantastic. But we're up to the second last track.
Sorry, Brad. Can I one more thing I'd say about it? I noted, Andrew, I didn't say this, but is that apparently the verse is in 3/4 time and the chorus is in 4/4. Now, I couldn't count 3/4 in the verse. I had a go. I couldn't make it into a waltz type thing at all. So I got a feeling that maybe the rhythm is sort of, I don't know what timing it's in, but I don't think it's 3/4. Whereas I think the chorus is in 4/4, and that's. I know what you mean. That kind of just not quite being able to hit on the one or whatever. I think could mean that you're not quite getting it in focus and things. So. As well, because I think I kind of felt that as well a bit about in the verses when it wasn't quite. I couldn't quite get to where the start of the bar was. I don't know how important it is, but
go back and have another listen to it.
Anyway, sorry, Brad. Apologies.
No. That makes perfect sense.
You might find it's really groovy, really out of sight, man. Didn't rain, no but support. This is for the girl in the back with yellow underwear. Not okay, but
oh, nice.
I've had that many bootlegs of Hendrix. It's all embedded in my brain. All the talk, the chatter. I love to talk between songs. Yeah. Okay, so we're up to Little Miss Lover. Now, the drumming at the start of this song is fantastic. Mitch really is swinging here. He's got a funk to it. and I have to admit at this point, and I'll keep it between us listeners here and the people watching this back, and you two on sharing this screen with me, that this influenced the start of my own song, Shake It. So the cat's out of the bag, not the drum beat itself, but the drum is and the way the guitar comes in. And it's like I wanted a song that started off like, you know, with this drumming and then the guitars and everything comes in. I wanted it to be like that. And there you go, guys. That's the cat's out of the bag. This song influenced Shake It one way or another. Okay.
Well done. Well
Shameless
done.
plug for my own song.
All right, we're all off to listen to that and point it out in the comments.
Shameless plug for my own music. Yeah. Sorry about that, guys. But great effect on Jimmy's voice. They got this warbly thing going on with effect on his voice, and I think that brings out that vibe for the song. It's really cool. He sings very rhythmically in this song, and the vamping chord progression. He's singing over the top of it great. So dun, 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 the way it's going, and he's just Little Miss Lover. The way he's singing over the top, the way it's just perfect. Yeah. Another great lyrical song. The breakdown and solo is outstanding on this. There's some beautiful guitar playing, like the wah playing especially. I don't really know another song before this song come out, so I think this might be a first to have that wah sort of percussive thing going on. I can't think of a song before this in history that's got it, unless it's Peace Frog by. No, I don't think that's later. That's on Roadhouse Blues. So yeah, I can't think of a song that has that style of wah playing percussive, and it's done, you know, where you're sort of muting the frets. You're not actually fretting the notes. You're just playing the wah like that. It's a technique that obviously everyone started to adapt. You know, he even did it himself with Voodoo Child. He started to do it. You know, that whole effect thing with the wah. It's a fantastic song. I love it. This song makes me want to get up and, like, you know, start swinging around a bar stool around the bar and dancing with it. So yeah, I give it a 9 out of 10. It's never a skip for me. Rock Professor.
Yes, I don't have much more to add about that. I think there's cool wah-wah guitar on it, and you know, when he says "Let's get into it" at the start of the solo, I love all those kind of vocal interjections that again, more impassioned vocals. I think, you know, kind of quite towards the end, quite sort of shouty, declamatory. I would go as far as to say things. And I like the phase guitar as well that comes in with the singing. That's really cool. I gave this an 8 out of 10. Never a skip. I think it's you know, it's great. That's what it should do, to wind you up for the big finish.
Yeah.
Andrew.
Great second last song too.
Yeah.
I read one review where one guy said, you know, from dream to sexual desire is, you know, Little Miss Lover, and yeah, you know, but the key clearly, obviously, is Mitch's drum intro, isn't it? Which cleverly sets the pattern for Jimmy to play over through the song, you know. And Brad said it right through, you know, his contribution to this album can't be underestimated, and this is certainly one song, in my opinion, that you know, he deserves special mention on. I'm not going to add anything more than what my co-hosts have added, other than you know, it's got that Wilson Pickett R&B thing going on, which is, you know, never a bad thing. Never a bad thing. Glad you guys mentioned the wah-wah thing, that, you know, because clearly that's got to start from somewhere, and, you know, that you know, the train track thing, you know, that thing that's always in the blues, isn't it? That they can't escape. They just, it's always there, Simon. You know, when you're out, it just drags you back in, you know, it just, you know. 9 out of 10 for me.
Yeah. Good. Am I right in saying that it's probably one of the first songs that's got that particular wah stuff in it?
I can't think of anything beforehand. You know, you got Clapton playing the wah, but he's doing it. He's wow 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 wow. You know, he's doing something different completely.
I always think of that as being a Hendrix thing. That I don't think of anybody else. I don't remember anybody else doing it particularly. No, not at all.
Yeah, he influenced adult entertainment music then as well.
You got it. You got it. Yeah. Even the Bee Gees, jive talking. Yeah. Everyone's doing it.
Everyone started doing it because of Jimmy. Yeah? It's like Elvis, you know, when he started swiveling his hips and that, then everyone started doing it. So there's got to be something. Yeah. Oh, all right. So, guys, this has been a really fun album to do. But this song in particular, the last track on the album, is what this album is all about for me. I don't know where to start with this one. So I've got a handful of notes here. I'll just start there. But it's the final song of the album, and it has to be my favorite Hendrix song. Bold as Love. It opens up abruptly with Hendrix stabbing that A chord, singing Anger, and then proceeds to delicately play that R&B influenced style that I love so much on guitar. Lyrically, we're treated with some truly amazing, poetic, genius lyrics. If you focus on his rhythm guitar playing through the verses, it's like he's playing, he's trying to share love in abundance with his guitar. He's really capturing the song's emotion. That just, that section where he goes, just ask the Axis, it gives me goosebumps every single time, every single damn time. It's crazy. I can't explain that. The song is an epic journey. It's got a psychedelic chorus, extended guitar solo at the end. I love how it fades out. The Hendrix composition, he pairs this together with emotion, color, personas. There's just so much to this song. There's a section here. I'm going to share this link with Andrew later. He can add it to the YouTube's special we're doing today in the comments. It's a clip of Eddie Kramer, and he's going through listening to breaking down the sections of the song on the board and in the studio, and he's playing the take before the one we hear every day. He's going, oh yeah, and Hendrix is getting it together, blah blah blah, and then the next take they did, then they got to the ending, and the ending, if you're familiar with the song and you know what I'm talking about, there's a little breakdown section and the drums come back in and there's this phasing. Now, this is quite possibly the first recording of stereo phasing, and Eddie Kramer has been noted to say that, as an engineer, this is the sort of thing he would do, is try and capture what the artist wanted, and Hendrix had this idea and tried to explain it. Eddie Kramer knew how to do it. So they just come up with this phasing technique in the studio. So they tried it on the song, and Hendrix was totally blown away when they listened back to the mix with the phasing. So that in particular is a gold moment to watch that, and we will share that link, not now, but later, so you can watch it. This was the 27th attempt at the song, the one we hear, as a basic rhythm track. Took them 27 takes to get this one that they were satisfied with, and that just goes to show how much of a perfectionist Hendrix was. Because I've got I don't know if you guys have seen it, there's a purple box set that came out, CD box set with 4 CDs, and there's a version of them recording the version before this one that we know on this album. And they get to the end, and Hendrix makes a tiny little fluff, and then he goes, all right, let's do it again. And you hear Mitchell go, oh, like he's like spewing because it's like, Yeah, and it's gold. It's like one of those moments that you know. I'm so glad we've got that to listen to. Yeah, it's one of the most ambitious pieces on the album. The lyrics alone suggest the growing confidence in his songwriting at this stage in his career, and his guitar playing through the song. Brilliant chordal work, R&B stylings, arpeggios. The there's arpeggios. He does tremolo picking, you know, like the thing that you know, Eddie Van Halen was so well known for, is tremolo picking. Hendrix was doing it with partial chords, you know, for the choruses. And look, in my opinion, it's one of the greatest songs of all time, incorporating some of the finest guitar playing ever. I have to give it. Yeah, sorry, Simon. Yeah.
Go on, bro. I was going to ask you a question. On the previous takes, how arranged is it? Does he play the same things on the, or are they completely different or similar things?
There's a similarity in each take that he does, but the way he plays, he couldn't play the same thing twice anyway. So there are little inflections and the embellishments that he does with with the embellishments there, and some of the inversions that are not quite the same. The feel's almost there, like you can hear it's almost there, and he knew there was one or two more takes in him to get it. Obviously, the 27th time, the guy was probably going. But yeah, so that to me is they captured lightning in a bottle on the 27th take, and obviously the overdubbing, the solo, the guitar playing on the solos, and the key change. There's so much tension in it. Lyrically, it's some of his greatest lyrics he's ever written. Again, you know, I know you guys probably chomping at the bit to get this album done and give your ranking, but I just want to read the lyrics. It won't take long. I just want you guys to listen to this as not even think about the song, just listen to the lyrics. And you know, you read back Jim Morrison's lyrics and you get the same effect reading them back. So here's the lyrics for Axis Bold as Love. It goes, anger, he smiles, towering in shiny metallic purple armor. Queen jealousy, envy waits behind him. Her fiery green ground sneers at the grassy ground. Blue are the life-giving waters taken for granted. They quietly understand. Once happy turquoise army lay opposite ready, but wonder why the fight is on. But they're all bold as love. Yeah, they're all bold as love. Just ask the Axis. Then the next verse goes, my red is so confident that he flashes trophies of war and ribbons of euphoria. Orange is young, full of daring, but very unsteady for the first go round. My yellow in this case is not so mellow. In fact, I'm trying to say it's frightened like me. All these emotions of mine keep holding me from giving my life to a rainbow like you. But I'm bold. Yeah, I'm bold as love. It goes on, and obviously, hear me talking, girl. And, you know, just ask the Axis. He knows everything. I mean, if that doesn't put you in a picture, like you're picturing colors, and I don't know what, you know, to me, that's poetic genius in a song. I have to give the song probably the biggest score I've ever given a song. You know, I don't know, 1,000 out. And I'm obviously never going to skip it. I'll hand it over to you boys. I've had my piece, and now I can just relax. Simon.
I mean, I don't know where else to go with that much as a thing, other than to say, yeah, it's a fantastic song. It's you know, it's another window into that kind of psychedelic period of that time. I agree with you about the lyrics. One thing that I did notice that the line "my yellow" in this case is not so mellow is a reference to Donovan, Mellow Yellow. But I think, you know, that thing about the colors, it's all about the colors, isn't it? It's they're just descriptions of the different colors. You know, love is a many-colored thing, and you know, beautiful lyrics and fantastically sung as well. You know, I think that, you know, that he I know he didn't like his voice, as you said, Brad, but you know, really singing well. A lot of emotional singing in it. I picked up as well, and you know, fantastic soloing and all of that. What you'd expect, but yes, 100 out of 10, never a skip from me. Basically, it's an extraordinary song. I love it. It's fantastic.
I'm glad you mentioned his vocal delivery too, there, Simon, because that's something I overlooked. Obviously, in my excitement to get to the end of my assumption, but yeah, his vocal delivery in this is beautiful.
Yeah,
Andrew.
Oh, look, I love it. You know, it's you know, the same thing with the Rolling Stones. She's a rainbow. You know, bold as love. You know, we're talking about colours and associations with it. It's interesting because, you know, Jimmy says just go ask the Axis, and some interviews people were saying, you know, what is it? You know, and he's saying, well, it could be the axis of the earth, you know, but it could be some spiritual concept, you know, that I'm not going to tell you. Which again is always consistent with what these guys were doing during that period. They weren't interested in putting their positions onto songs or their immediate interpretations, were they, Simon? They wanted you to go away and get from it what you wanted, you know. It's a revealing song. There's something fragile to the song, Brad, that I love, you know, and I can't pinpoint it, because it's not supposed to make sense all the time with the brain. It's supposed to touch you, brush you, you know, on your heart, on your soul, and this song does it. I'm not surprised that it's one of your most favourite Hendrix songs. I'm going to give this song a 10 out of 10 too. I just think that R&B dramatics, you know, and that confessional poetry that we love, it's encapsulated in this. I love a lot of these albums around this time that we've had the pleasure, guys, to rank and discuss, and a lot more to rank and discuss, because these guys and girls at this time were doing something special. The project, the manifestos were completely different to what we're dealing with today. And I love that. I love the fact that we can go back in time, Brad, and reach and see some beauty and some creativity and take it and bring it forward. Great song. I have to Brad score this too. I like the fact that you will never Brad score anything, Brad. That's okay. I will always Brad score, and that's good. Yeah, it's certainly a song that you're going to play to the aliens, isn't it, Hugh? It's one that's going to confuse the heck out of them. And then maybe we can lead our counter assault. Who knows? I love it. I love it, Brad. Nice. It's there's two songs on this album which are standouts for me. This and Little Wing, just masterpieces. With the album price alone.
Yeah, 100%. Well, thanks, guys.
Send that link, please, bro, that you're talking about, because I'm familiar with it. It's very good. Yeah.
I'll send it to you straight after the show, Andrew. 100%. But thanks, guys, for and bringing that album up, Simon, because you know, in the past I thought about doing it, you know, but then I think we'll do it later. We've got other fish to fry, you know, and I was a bit stumped. I had a few ideas and we're throwing around, guys, in the green room, and Simon goes, well, I was going to do Axis Bottles Love. I said, no, you're not. I'm doing it.
That's a great album, and I can see that Kubrick Lover in the chat there too, obviously, who's a very good friend of the channel, who haven't seen for a while, is on board with everybody's sentiments on the song too, Brad, especially yours. Yeah, it's one of his standout songs as well. And Hughes.
Yeah, fantastic record. Fantastic record. I'm glad we went back and investigated it and looked at it properly, because it's a great record. 100%. I think slightly overlooked. Wouldn't you agree? I think slightly overlooked against Audio Experienced and Electric Ladyland.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, I know it's got Little Wing and stuff, but
I do think there's a lot of heart and soul in this record. Like, it's without a doubt.
Yeah.
That progressional period from Hendrix being, you know, launched into the stardom and doing music and proving himself to the point where he's now I'm a songwriter. So he actually proved himself on this record as a songwriter. Not saying that the album before he didn't have great songs on it. Wing Cries Mary is one of my favourite songs. Yeah.
But I think alongside that is also there's a control to his playing, isn't there? There's a kind of, it's not quite the wild man, setting fire to the guitar stuff. There's a control. There's kind of, fitting the chords of the songs, and I think is really cool actually. Not holding some of it back in a way. It's not not crashing it all out there. So
well, there's two
really good.
two key things there. It's Hugh's comment there. Remember, it's the same year that his debut came out, which is really, really interesting point to bear in mind. Brad mentioned it earlier in the intro. There's not like a 3-year or 5-year wait between the two albums, which kind of happens, in rock and roll history. These were within months of each other. We've got Carlos in the chat.
Morning, Carlos.
Yeah, good to see you, brother. Rock Professor, are you flying out next week?
No, I'm not flying out to the 14th of August.
Oh, okay, all right. I wasn't sure of that. I just had this brilliant flash of. Okay. So who's your pick then? It's
my pick next week. Yes, and next week we will be doing the Paul Butterfield Blues Band, East West.
Oh.
Good.
Somebody in the chat mentioned Mike Bloomfield. Yeah. He was someone in the chat.
I didn't see that, but I didn't see that. Yeah, there we are. Well, anyway, next week East West.
I think when Brad was doing his Jimi Hendrix accent, somebody said he sounds like Mike Bloomfield as well.
Ah, good. Well, anyway, we can investigate that next week. But yes, next week's album is East West by the Paul.
Can't wait. I can't wait. I can't wait to tell my story about that album. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Oh, good. Don't say anything.
Yeah. Well, thanks, guys.
Right.
I hope I covered enough of the main points of the album in the intro, and there's a lot more to it, and I'll send that link through to you as well, Andrew.
Cool. Fantastic.
Thank you. So John's talking about aliens or imaginary friends. We don't know. Before we go, so we're going to go around and say goodbye to everybody. We're not going to do a shout out. We're going to say goodbye because we've been going for an hour, just about 3 hours, and I'm a little bit
sorry.
Yeah. So if you are watching a replay and you haven't subscribed to our channel, please do. Please share our channel. Everyone that subscribes to us, we give you a sub back. You want to come onto our channels page, I've got to keep saying it. We're into sharing here on this channel. We collaborate. We're collaborators. Thank you, Brad, especially for your introduction. Again, you nail us and you knock it out of the park with your intros. Well done. Rock Professor, I'm going to give you a couple of words and then we're going to hand it over to Brad, the backdoor man, and then we're going to go.
Oh, God. Hold on. Sorry, it's my mum calling me. I'll ring her back in a minute. Okay. That's funny. I'll say goodbye to Ellen, Kubrick Lover, Gret Zeppelin. See if I can whistle through. Carlos. Who else have we had? Hugh Caldwell. We've had Fruitcake Tony popped in. Morning, Fruitcake. Thanks for dropping by. Johnny Bean, Helen Winter, Teresa, of course, Sunny Brazil, Arvin, Alan M. Guitar Corner. Who went to bed earlier? But, a couple of people. Sorry, guys, I'm running along. Holly Lewis, of course. Sleep well, Holly. John ZD351. Thank you, John. Good to see you. Great comments as always. Robert Ranford as well. Thanks, Robert, for dropping by. Who else do we have? Anybody else particularly? Johnny, Ellen, Drops Family Garden as well. Thanks, Drops. Really great stuff. That's as far back as I can go. Helen Winter and Ellen. So thanks all for joining, and we'll see you next week for East West. Do your homework.
Yeah, definitely. I'm looking forward to that one. And thanks guys for a great album for me to be able to sort of present and I'll just say quick goodbye to everyone. Thanks for joining us, and everyone joining us later, watching this back on the replay. Thank you, and subscribe if you haven't done so. So have a good week, guys, and we'll see you next week.
And thanks for all the birthday wishes. Most kind.
Yeah, happy birthday again, Tom.
Thank you so much. Bye all. Bye.
Clickbait.
Get that off the screen, boy. Oh dear. Is he pressing the button?